Salutations, my fellow dandies, and Happy New Year. It is January 1st, 2024. It is a new year. It is, that's it. It's a new year. I don't know why I kept going. I didn't have anything planned to say there. It's 2024, and as is tradition, on New Year's Day, I like to, actually not do this. Normally I do my tier list like the weekend after the New Year, but that's normally because there are like a couple of games that I want to still finish off, just to, make sure my list is as informed as possible. And that is, I guess, still technically true. There are still a couple of games on this list that I haven't quite put enough time into, that I'd maybe be able to put some time into between now and next weekend, but I don't want to, so I'm going to do it today, basically. And then, once this list is finished, we will, as actually is tradition on New Year's Day, play some of the worst reviewed games of the year. So a couple of years back, we started this tradition by playing Balan Wonderworld, and last year we played 2 games. That was so bad, I can't remember what they're called. Babylon's Fall? The Platinum game that came out on PlayStation that got, axed after, 6 months or something. And then Crossfire X. That was it. Funny thing, I actually enjoyed Crossfire X, even though it was reviewed so badly. I think it got reviewed really badly because of the multiplayer. The single player was actually kind of decent, and I remember it was annoying. I enjoyed it, and I bought the DLC because the main game was on Game Pass, but you had to pay for the DLC if you wanted to play the second episode. I bought the second episode of that game, fully intending to play it and stream it, and then just never did. I mean, I still got it, although I think it came off Game Pass, so if I did want to play it, I'd have to buy the main game again, which is probably a bit more than I can be bothered to do. So yeah, we won't bother with that. And yeah, so I got 2 good games lined up. I have, well, we'll come to that later. They're on the list. Because they're 2023 games. So let's crack on. This is my list. This is my tier from right all the way from right dandy down to not dandy. There's also the haven't finished yet but seem dandy list for any ones that I'm like, I don't think I've played enough of this game to really give it a fair score. That's kind of, there's a couple of games that will be in there, but for the most part, I've played enough of these games that I think I can give them a fair score. And I thought I'd put Tears of the Kingdom straight up because anyone who has followed me this last year or watched me play this year will know Tears of the Kingdom is my game of the year. If Breath of the Wild didn't exist, I would honestly say that Tears of the Kingdom is probably one of the best games. It would probably be one of the best games ever made. It's really its only failing. Well, there's a couple of complaints I do have about it, but its biggest failing is just that it's a continuation of Breath of the Wild, and so it's like the impact that Breath of the Wild had is kind of lost in Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, so my backing, my BGM cut off, and I was like, because it's listening to some Sonic lo-fi, and I was like, did the stream stop or something? But no, it's okay, it's fine. Let's go back to the tier list. Yeah, but it really is just held back by the fact that Breath of the Wild exists before it, because all of the impact from Breath of the Wild, all of that, exploring that world for the first time, and all of the mechanics, and, learning all of the secrets and things like that, you already knew so much of that going into Tears of the Kingdom if you played Breath of the Wild that the impact wasn't there. But there was still like enough new stuff in Tears of the Kingdom to make it feel fresh. And it was a game. It was probably the game I put the most amount of hours into this year, probably. And until like the last few streams of playing it, when I wasn't streaming it, all I was thinking about was how much I wanted to keep playing it because I was just so enjoying it so much. I think it was good that I didn't try and do everything. I think I probably could have been... I probably could have gotten bogged down a little bit trying to do all the side quests and stuff. And I didn't tend to go back and do those side quests. My intention was, I'll wait for the DLC, and then I'll get the side quests and stuff done off stream for the DLC. Or maybe I'll stream it, you know. And then they said, there's no DLC. We don't have any more story to tell. We don't have anything else we want to do, so no DLC. Which I think is a shame because there's lots of things that like weren't really that well explained, like what happened to the Guardians from the first game. They just sort of upped and all of the Guardian technology just kind of up and disappeared. I mean, it's implied that it apparently just up and disappeared because, you know, job done, but it didn't disappear when they did it 10,000 years ago. And so I don't know why it disappeared this time. Anyway, no point crying over spilled milk. Despite all of that, Tears of the Kingdom, my game of the year. So I thought I'd get it out of the way because it was obvious. I know this was foregone conclusion. Let's crack on with some other games. Drisant, this game was okay. I put it quite dandy. It was fine. It's a game where you climb a big pillar. I finished it. I would have finished it in one session. In one stream, but my internet cut off. So probably the most memorable thing about that stream is that the internet cut off like 40 minutes before the end of the stream. So I had to do a second, very brief 40-minute stream while I finished it off. It was an alright game. It was pleasant. It didn't do anything. It didn't blow me away in any way. It was just kind of fine. Hey, salutations, Speedstar. Happy New Year to you. Thank you for... I saw your tweet. Shout me out. Much appreciated. Hope you've had a good start to your new year and a good end to your old one. Just going through all of the crap I played last year. So Drisant, fine game. It was one of those indie games that you play it and you're like, this is comfy, this is fine. And then you finish it and you go, okay, that was the thing that I did. I didn't dislike that. I mean, maybe. No, I think we're putting it quite dandy. It didn't leave an impact. Sonic Superstars. I had complaints about this game, but I think it was still a good game. I thought the music was terrible on it, but music isn't that important to me, so. But the music was especially bad in Sonic Superstars. Shouldn't quite dandy be higher in position because it sounds like B tier. Well, you've got very dandy and pretty damn dandy, so I feel like quite dandy is not quite as high as dandy. Like, it's a little bit dandy. Dandy's kind of like the middle benchmark, which is probably where I'm going to put Sonic Superstars. And then it's got like multiples of dandy. So yeah, quite dandy is like, in my head, less than dandy. It's fine. Don't think about it too much. It's the categories I used last year and the year before, so I just reused them. But yeah, Sonic Superstars was fun. I like Trip. I like Trip in the new character. The levels were. What's the word I'm thinking of? They basically, apart from Press Factory, I think that was the only level that stood out for me. All the rest of them just felt like cheap versions of pre-existing levels. Press Factory was the only level that had like quite a unique mechanic to it, and that actually stood out to me as being like new. Everything else just felt like old stuff rehashed. I wish it was T. Lopez that took charge of the whole thing. Yeah, it wasn't just. It was. Like, music is one of those things that doesn't normally stand out for me that much. It's kind of just background noise. But Sonic games, I genuinely kind of expect a certain standard, and Sonic Superstars sounded like cheap mobile music, like, which is interesting because there is a mobile game on here that I think had better music. But we'll come to that. So yeah, Sonic Superstars was fine. It was a bit jank, it was a bit busted. I don't think the new Chaos Emerald powers were implemented that well. But I had fun playing it. It was fine. It was a solid 7 out of 10 game. So I feel like that's kind of where it is. Super game. So this, by the way, my definition. This isn't where I'm putting it. I just dropped it there. My definition for what counts as a 2023 game is if the version of the game I played came out in 2023. So Suika came out 2000. I want to say 2021. I think it came out. But it didn't have an English release until this year. There's a couple of other games like that, like say Marvel Snap is an old game, but the Steam version came out this year, and I played the Steam version, so that's my kind of definition for what counts as a 2023 game. But Sweet Game is a watermelon game. It was like a little cheap puzzle game that a lot of streamers played, and I picked it up. It's like £1.50 or something. It's like dirt cheap on Switch. And it's very addictive. It's a very simple concept. It's very addictive. Like, for what it is, it's. I mean, the biggest complaint is just there's not much to do. And I should put it in Dandy. There's just not much to do. There's nothing to do. There's one mode and that's it. And so once you kind of get bored of that one mode, that's it. But for the price and what it did, it's. I'm tempted to put it into very Dandy just because of the price. No, I'll keep it in Dandy. It was fun. It was a fun little distraction for a little while. Metroid Prime Remastered. This was my first ever Metroid game. I hadn't played a Metroid game before Metroid Prime Remastered. And they just didn't really appeal to me. And I liked Metroid Prime. I can understand why people say it's as good as it is. Apparently the second one's better. So I'm hoping they do a Metroid Prime Remastered too, because I'd quite like to play that. I thought it was a bit dry. It's probably a big complaint. Like, I get that Samus doesn't talk very much, but I found it difficult to care about any of the things I was doing because Samus didn't care, and there was no one else in the story who did care. So it just felt like I was just going through and doing things. So I put it in Dandy. It was fine. It was. I can tell you. It's definitely a better game than Sonic Superstars. But it just wasn't it just doesn't appeal to me as much as Sonic Superstars did. So that's why I'm putting them in the same sort of tier. I feel like Suika should be lower down though. We'll put it on the top end of Dandy. Maybe I'll stick it into very Dandy. It was. Let's put it into very Dandy, and I can recalculate later. It is a good game. It is a good game, and I can tell it's a good game. It just didn't appeal to me. I didn't not enjoy playing it. Anyway, I have complicated feelings about Metroid, but yes, it was fine. Water Horror. I really enjoyed this. I wish I played more of it. I wanted to stream some more. I might stream some more. I do have it still installed, and I want to play some more of this. It's a really interesting concept, and it's like the game itself is beautiful. It's all sort of made in, I think the entire game's made in MS Paint. It's great. I want to play some more of it. It's kind of a difficult game to follow, I think, if you're. I don't know. I feel like I liked it, and I I want to play more of it. I feel like I've played enough of it to know that I like it, so I'm going to put it into pretty damn dandy. I think it was probably one of the most interesting games I played this year, and it was the one that sort of stood out for me as being. Yeah, it was one of the games that sort of really stood out for me this year, as being something unique and new, and there's a bit in the one time I played. there was a part where I had to sacrifice my friend to an evil school whilst I threw bottles and sticks at it. And it's just like, you couldn't do that in any other game. You couldn't do that in any other game. Just be like, yo, I'm gonna have to let you eat you whilst I pelt it with trash because none of my other attacks work on it. Yeah. Homebody. This was a fun game. It was. I was a bit disappointed there was only one ending. It felt like the kind of game where you could get multiple endings, but I do like time loop games generally, and this had a fun mechanic of you not being able to tell anyone that you were in a time loop, which I thought was quite interesting, and it covered some themes that sort of, hit close to home. Yeah, it's a good game. I'm going to put it very Dante. I recommend Homebody. It's a short game. I think I did it completely in about sort of 6 hours. But yeah, it's good. My only complaint, and it's not the game itself, is that I watch Game Grumps, which is because this game's published by Game Grumps, and was made by Jordan, who works at Game Grumps. Is that they advertised it at the beginning of all of their videos for like a 4-month period, and it was like, dude, anybody who watches Game Grumps knows about this game by now. Please stop advertising it. It's like a minute advertisement at the beginning of every video. It's annoying. That's not the game's fault, but it is tangentially related to Homebody. Coral Island. I didn't play much of this game, but I don't like it. I am on record as saying that I think video games should copy each other more. I think if someone does something well, then you should copy that rather than trying to, create your own thing. But when I say that you should copy it, what I mean is like for example, The Return to Obra Dinn, one of my favorite games of all time. I want more people to make games like that. What I don't want them to do is make Return of Obra Dinn again, because I've played Return of Obra Dinn. I don't want to play it again, but I do want to play games that are like that, where it's like there's like Curse of the Golden Idol, even, which is a game in the same vein as Return of Obra Dinn, where you've got in a situation and you have to figure out who died and how. It's a fun concept. Coral Island is literally just 3D Stardew Valley. And I don't mean that in a kind of like, oh, it's got farming and it's got fishing. Like, it is literally the exact same setup. You come to a place that you've inherited this farm from your grandfather. The farm layout is identical to Stardew Valley's layout, with rocks and twigs and trees that you have to cut down in different ways to clear out to make farming. The farming itself is identical. You plow, you put the seeds down, you water it. You don't have to water it on rainy days. There's a TV that tells you like tips and things like that. There's a dungeon that you can go in and fight monsters. There's a fishing mechanic. Like, the town is laid out basically identically. It is so much of a carbon copy and so like uninventive that I hated playing it. I also just didn't really like the character designs. They were all kind of generic, and they would have been interesting if they were a bit more. They were varied, but they were like all the like men looked very similar. Anyway, not so dandy. I don't think it wasn't like terrible, but it was really not good. It was really not good. Alan Wake 2. This was a great game. I wasn't expecting. I really like Alan Wake. I really like Control. I really like the Remedy verse, and I wasn't expecting Alan Wake 2 to be as good as it was. Or I wasn't expecting Alan Wake. I thought it was going to be like on the level of Alan Wake, which I'd probably put around the very dandy level. Alan Wake 2 went really hard. I really want to play the new game plus mode to get the extra stuff. But I haven't had a chance to sit down and do that. I'll probably do that before the DLC comes out. I'm very, very excited for the DLC. Yeah, there's like so many moments in this game that I just really like the musical. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil anything. I streamed the whole thing, but the characters, the plot, the performances, all the references and things like that to previous games. I thought the references were maybe a bit too much. Like, They really went like, it's this thing, it's this thing, it's this thing. Remember this thing? Look, it's that thing. And so that maybe they could have toned that down a little bit if I had a complaint about this game. But yeah, no, it's one of the best games I played this year, easily. Hands down, deserves all the Game of the Year awards it's getting as well. There's some games that are mediocre as heck that don't stand out but can be carried by charm. Yeah, there's a couple of games on this list that I know, like, they're not good games, but there was, like, parts of it that elevated it above, like, the sum of its parts. And if a game's bad, but I can feel it feels like the people making the game have, like, really put their heart into it, that counts more for me than a game where someone's just kind of tried to jump on what's popular. And that's kind of what I felt like Coral Island was. Like, someone played Stardew Valley and then went, I'm just going to make my own Stardew Valley, but with hookers and blackjack. Yeah, so I just really don't like the game. Call of the Angler, which leads us into Call of the Wild: The Angler. I had fun with this game, but this game is not good. This game is terrible. It's a fishing game, open world fishing game. The open world isn't very interesting to get around. The fishing wasn't that fun. The multiplayer was. I had fun with this game because I made it into a horror game by playing creepy music. But the actual game itself just isn't very good. I'm probably going to put it... I'll put it... It was okay, but it wasn't... I played it for a good few hours. It wasn't so bad that I switched it off immediately, but yeah, it wasn't good. PS2 Neopets game of all things was that for me. It's surprising where you do find stuff like that. Deadly Premonition is one of those games for me. And there is a PlayStation 1 Beyblade game that me and my friend really, really like. And the game itself is not good, but the narrator was, like, really passionate. And we just loved how passionate the narrator in that game was. And we used to just, like, there was a bit... If you spun for so long, your Beyblade for so long that it stopped spinning, the guy would go, out of energy! And out of energy became like a running joke amongst me and my friend for like our entire childhood. It was great. I was entertained with the site was it, making part of the canon. Do you know, I do have a Neopets account. I do have like 20-year-old Neopets who are all starving to death on my account. I check in on them every so often. I don't feed them, but I just poke my head in just to see what they're up to. And I don't really know anything about Neopets. I played it a lot back in the day, and then just I don't really remember learning any of the story. I remember they made like books or something, didn't they? Like novels, or was it? Anyway, Exoprimal. Me and my friends played this for 2 weeks on Games Pass. And we only played it for 2 weeks because I really wanted to fight the T-Rex, and we didn't fight the T-Rex in the first game. This game, I remember when it came out, when they announced it, I was really disappointed that it wasn't Dino Crisis. It was okay, but the genre of game that it was just doesn't really appeal to me beyond like a couple of sessions. If it wasn't on Game Pass, we wouldn't have played it. But it was okay. It was I liked the story mode. It's unfortunate that the story mode was locked behind the multiplayer mode, and you had to play like dozens and dozens of multiplayer matches to unlock more story. I would have rather a separate story mode, but it was okay. I'm going to put it in quite dandy just because I don't like the genre. It's also a really weird mechanic where they made you play this one game mode over and over and over again and to unlock new game modes. But they never told you that. They never said, hey, there are other game modes, but you have to unlock them. So a lot of people dropped out after the first 5 games because they were like, this is just the same thing over and over again. So the game did a really bad job of marketing itself, I think. It was not what... Well, I think a lot of people like me went in there not expecting something different. Yeah, there are books. I remember seeing them. Again, the Neopets used to be a big thing. I understand someone's bought like the site and is trying to like make a proper effort at like revitalizing it and bringing it back and updating it, because a lot of the old Flash stuff just doesn't work anymore. So I'll be interested to see what happens to it. It's a shame if it goes the way of Club Penguin. Article 6, Fires of Rubicon. So I only started playing this last month. I haven't finished it yet. I do intend to. It's fun. It's not. It's fun. I kind of like. Yeah, it's again similar sort of complaint I had to like. Well, not really to Metroid, but like none of the characters. All the characters have voices and names, but none of them have faces. You only ever see their robots. I kind of would have liked it if the characters had faces, because I could maybe get like a bit more invested in the story. It's okay, but you play a character who is like completely detached from the plot. You don't talk. You're this guy called Raven. So it's like the game expects you to not care about the conflict on Rubicon, but you're involved in it. So it's a weird kind of balance there. I haven't quite finished it, so maybe it'll get me better. But I feel like gameplay-wise, I've played enough of it to say I think it's in the sort of very dandy tier. Like it's a fun game to play. It's challenging. It's a FromSoft game, so there's never any bit that happens that made me think, oh, that was unfair. It was just, oh, I just messed up. So yeah, Atomic Heart. I wasn't really following this game, and then it was one of those games that I played because it was on Games Pass. This game kind of was like a big old nothing burger. Like I played it for about 3 hours. I remember there was a horny vending machine, and these like ballerina robots were like a big deal to a lot of people. I just realised I'm pointing at. I just realised my screen doesn't actually show the. I should scroll down slightly. I didn't realise my screen. I can see the game on my screen, but you can't see the game on the stream. Apologies for that. Yeah, Atomic Heart. A few SD games, I'm sure. Street Fighter 6, Star Ocean, Second Story R, and Resident Evil 4. I didn't play Star Ocean. I have heard good things about it. I did look into it when it came out, but I haven't played it. But I did play some Resident Evil 4 and Street Fighter 6. We'll get to those. Yeah, there was a horny vending machine in Atomic Heart. That was the bit that stood out from me. That I remembered. And there was also these like ballerina twins robots were also like very, very sexual. Like they were like these 7-foot tall, sexy ballerina robots at the beginning of the game. Other than that, I don't really remember anything about the game. The premise is that you're in a city where robots have. So again, let me just scroll up a bit more. There we go. That's the. So okay, so I need to leave these 3 bars at the bottom. Yeah, it was. You're in a robot city in the sky, I think, and the robots go nuts and start killing people and taking over. It's kind of supposed to be like a Bioshocky type game. There's just something about it that just didn't click with me, and I just didn't want to play it anymore. Like I remember at the end of the 3 hours I played of it, I just was like, I think I wanted to. I normally try and stream until I get to like a good point, and then be like, that feels like a good place to stop. And in this, I just kind of, I think, just went, yeah, I just don't want to play this anymore, and stopped. Like it was in the middle of a corridor or something. Yeah, I'm gonna put that not so dandy. I'd be tempted to put it in not dandy. I'll put it in keep it in not so dandy just based on the horny vending machine. Baldur's Gate 3. I haven't finished this. It's a big game. I do want to put some more time into it. It is a really, 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 really good game. Obviously, it's gotten a lot of Game of the Year awards. The performances of the characters, like I really like Astarion, I really like Karlach, I really like Lae'zel. Those are my three buddies. I didn't really get to know the other characters. But yeah, I really like those three, and I do want to go back to it and finish it. I'm not a massive fan of like isometric RPGs, so it's mostly sort of the genre that's kind of holding it back for me. But I'd put it in top of Pretty Damn Dandy for me. If I liked the genre more, it'd probably go into Right Dandy. But because it's a genre that I'm not as passionate about, it's just that's the one thing that bumps down. The other thing that did also bother me about it is that a lot of the game relies on you save scumming. I kept seeing videos of people being like, look at this thing you can do in Baldur's Gate 3. And the only way you'd know to do that is if you tried something, failed, and then reloaded your save and just like trialed and errored a bit. There's so much stuff where if you don't want to, because I was trying not to save scum, and so you'd sometimes do something completely innocuous, fail a dice roll, and then completely screw yourself over. Like I tried to read the mind of a goblin, and failed, and then the entire goblin camp became hostile to me, and I just lost out on like a huge amount of missions and conversations and dialogue, and I had killed a companion. I had to kill a companion character because they were just immediately hostile towards me, and it was like all because of one dice roll. And I feel like in a real Dungeons and Dragons game, the DM would be like, okay, well, I'm not going to just like completely throw away this entire scenario I've written because of one bad dice roll. I'll punish you, but not punish you that badly. And Baldur's Gate is almost like, yeah, you should just reload your save and try that again. And it's like, I don't... That's kind of the only real major complaint I have about the game. Is just that it kind of relies on you saving a lot and then reloading when you screw up. And yeah, it is a beast of a game to get through. Like, I put in 30 hours, I think, so far, and I'm still on Chapter 1, on like Act 1 of 3. I think Act 3 is quite short, but... And that was with me, like, killing a load of quest peak givers, and not doing the quests for them. If I went around meticulously doing all the quests for all of the characters, goddamn, you could spend... I mean, yeah, you could spend hundreds of hours in that game. But yeah, really good characters. I really like I said, I really like Astarion. Astarion is probably, I think, like the most interesting new character this year from any game. And Karlach and Lae'zel are top 20 at least. Anyway, Starfield. I went into this game with very low expectations. Everything I saw about this game didn't get me that excited. I mostly played it because it was like supposed to be this big game, and it was also on Game Pass, so it wasn't going to cost me anything. And I tried really hard to get into it. Like, I tried to latch on to any part of this game that I could stick my teeth into, and I found the Space Pirate quests, and I was like, okay, Space Pirates, that's cool, that's fun. Tried really hard to get into the Space Pirate quest, and it was just not that interesting. Like, the premise is kind of dull. All the characters, there wasn't really a character that stood out for me as being that interesting. The plot, the missions were all kind of boring. It was so uninventive. It's like 400-500 years into the future. Maybe less than that. I can't actually remember how far into the future it was. And so much stuff, it was just like, there was that far into the future, there's like so many possibilities for you to just like be like, this is now what humans do. This is how we do stuff. And so much of it was just, yeah, we just do the same exact thing that we do now, but we do it in space. And it was just so boring. It's a general consensus. Yeah, that does seem to be like, I think that they wanted to recreate this like Skyrim, but they just made, like, if this game had come out in 2011, when Skyrim came out, it would have been like some people's game of the generation. It would have blown people away. But they just made, they didn't really like innovate anything. It was all kind of Yeah. Star Ocean had a better science fiction plot than Starfield and more fantasy elements than sci-fi. And that game's like 30 years old. Like, Star Ocean 2 was what, mid-90s? The first one, the second game came out? Actually, 20 years ago wouldn't be mid-90s, that'd be early 2000s. God, it would be 2004. God, Resident Evil 4 is 20 years old this year. Dang. But yeah, it was like, I really gave this game a chance. I think I put 25 hours into it by the time I finished it. I did like the shipbuilding, but yeah, I'd probably put it around here, because I did enjoy it more than these games. But yeah, I got no interest in going back to it. And I don't. Yeah, it's just, there was nothing there. Game 2's remake is ST. I've heard very good things about the Star Ocean remake. Like I said, I did look into it. It was on my list for a little while, but I was like, RPGs are a beast, and I wanted to play Sea of Stars, because I've heard lots of good things about Sea of Stars, and I haven't had a chance to start that yet. Which is a 2023 game that is not on this list because I haven't started it, but I have had it downloaded for a while. Cocoon. So I played this for the first time on Friday. I feel like I'm about halfway through the game, even though I only played for an hour and a half. Normally I'd put it in like haven't finished yet, but seems dandy. But I feel like I played enough of it that I'm gonna put it in the. I put it in very dandy. I think it's. If I'd finished it, I might be tempted to put it up slightly higher. But from what I played of it, it's very dandy. Maybe I should put it in haven't finished yet, but seems dandy, to be fair. It feels like, though, this is going to be like, when I finish it, it's going to be like, it's somewhere in here. Probably pretty damn dandy. It was so good. Like, the puzzle, it was that kind of puzzle game where it's not that difficult, but it's hard enough that makes you feel smart when you succeed. You know? Right, there was just enough there to make me go. It was like just tricky enough to make me go, ah, yeah, I did it. Nice. It's very replayable. It contains 99 ending scenes. It's much less of a slog to get through. Okay, well, I mean, having 99 different endings doesn't. I mean, you said 99 ending scenes. I'm guessing that's like you get multiple scenes for each ending. Yeah, like I said, maybe I'll play it. I'd like to play Sea of Stars is probably the next RPG I'll play if I play anything. But yeah, it did look good. I did look into it. Darkest Dungeon 2. I liked. This game was a bit controversial because people said it wasn't as good as Darkest Dungeon 1. I actually liked it a bit because it was a bit easier. I think I actually preferred Darkest Dungeon 2 to Darkest Dungeon 1. I didn't get very far in it. But it was okay. I'll put it in like quite. No, I'll put it in dandy. It was fine. I didn't put as much time into it as I might have liked, but I played enough of it to get the idea of it, and I enjoyed it. It was fine. I don't really have much to say about that. Dark Tide. I heard good things about this game before it came out, and it came to Games Pass, and so we played it for one session. And we got to the end of that session, and we just decided we didn't want to play anymore. It's just very, like... It's not a bad game. I'd probably put it in, like, not so dandy. Probably bottom of half not so dandy. It's just kind of... None of us really care about Warhammer, so the plot, the lore didn't really interest us. The game itself wasn't that fun to play, and it was all kind of like muddy and brown, and not interesting to look at, and yeah, just wasn't very appealing. Dave the Diver. I really like this game. I did really like this game. I'm trying to think of how to sort of word this sort of correctly. I feel like it had, because it was early access, and I complained about this at the time, because it was early access and they were adding stuff as they went, I feel like they added too much to the point where it's a weird complaint to have about a game having too much to do. But it felt like by the end, there was some stuff that got added right at the end of the game when I finished the storyline, like the franchises and stuff. Although I think you could open franchises earlier, I just didn't unlock them. But there was so much stuff that I was still unlocking stuff at the end of the game. But by the end of the game, I was like, well, I'm kind of done. I don't really want to play much more of this stuff. So I kind of missed out on doing that stuff. I can't really articulate it very well. What my complaint is, it was a very dense game, and I did enjoy it. There were certain bits of it, like beating a dolphin to death with a squeaky hammer, like that did 1 damage because I was trying to catch things and sleep. Like that's just something that won't ever happen in any other game. And the animations, the pixel art sort of animations were great. All the characters were zany. The game was colourful, but like my big complaint about it really is is minor, because I'm still going to put it in pretty damn dandy. It was one of the best games I played this year. I did fall into the trap of thinking this was an indie game because it was in early access, and it's not. It was made by Nexon. Well, it was published by Nexon. So one of the biggest Korean publishers in the world. And I think actually it was made by a Nexon-owned studio. So it's not an indie game, it just looks like an indie game. But still, other than that, I can't really hold that against it. Because it didn't market itself as an indie game. Even though it got nominated for Best Indie Game at the Game Awards, weirdly. Yeah. Oh, you found a Hi-Fi Rush. We'll get to Hi-Fi Rush. We'll get to Hi-Fi Rush. Yeah, it's not too far down. Let's try and get these through this a bit quicker. Dead Space. I never played the original. I only ever played the remake. I played a little bit of the original. I played like an hour of the original. And then played the remake. I really enjoyed the remake. I can see why the game was as popular as it was. And I understand the remake was very faithful. There was a certain... I played the Callisto Protocol as well after Dead Space, which isn't on this list because it came out last year. And... it was really interesting to sort of see how that was a similar game to Coral Island. No, that's not fair to Callisto Protocol. Callisto Protocol was just a bad game on its own merits. But yeah, there were certain things in Dead Space, like the being able to like stomp on the monsters and cutting off the limbs of the monsters as well was really satisfying. It was a very satisfying feeling game to play. So I'm gonna put it in very dandy. It was really good. I'm gonna put it at the top of very dandy. I think I definitely enjoyed it more than Metroid Prime. I hope they make a Dead Space 2 remastered or remake, because I'd quite like to play. I'd quite like to play them more. Yeah, that's it. That was fun. Sonic Dream Team. This was the Apple Arcade exclusive Sonic mobile game. And I alluded to this briefly when I talked about Sonic Superstars. The music in this game is great. I really like the music. I also like the level design of this game. In fact, I really like Sonic Dream Team. It's clearly not been made on a very big budget. There's 4 levels, and they reuse the same 4 levels over and over and over again. And just like have you take different routes through the levels, or they reverse the level around so you go through it backwards. Or you just do different objectives in the same level, which is fine. It's each of the levels are like a minute or 2 long. It's very clearly like a mobile game. You're just supposed to play it and then for like 5 minutes and then stop. That kind of game. And the game itself is like 4 hours long. It's like a nice little bite-sized Sonic the Hedgehog game with an interesting plot. And some of the animations are great. Its only real failing is just that it was kind of cheap. The game, the game crashed a couple of times and froze a couple of times. I had to like stop it, turn it back, shut it down, and restart it. I don't think it being on Apple Arcade is a negative. I'm not going to mark it down for that. Because I got a free month when I got it, so I didn't pay anything to play this game. I should cancel that. That's going to be coming up on the 5th. Yes, I'm going to put Sonic Dream Team in... It's around here. I'm going to put it in Very Dandy, because it was quite short. But, no, actually, no. Do you know what? I'm going to put it Pretty Damn Dandy for one reason. I hate rail grinding in 3D Sonic games. Rail grinding in 3D Sonic games I hate it. I think they've never done it well. Like, even from introducing it in Sonic Adventure 2, I think it's always been bad. It's always frustrating. You fall off the rails, you glitch through the rails, the rail grinding just never works right. Sonic Dream Team made rail grinding fun. For that alone, I'm going to put it into Pretty Damn Dandy, because they fixed two of my complaints. The two major complaints about rails. One, you can lock onto the rails, and you can lock onto the rails at any point, which is so good. Like, trying to thread the needle on some of the rail grinding sections in some 3D Sonic games is such a ball ache. Trying to just land on that, like, 1 pixel thin rail. So being able to lock onto the rail, great. 2, they made you sticky. When you're on the rail, you're stuck to the rail. Okay? Until you jump off, you can't get off the rail. You're there, you're stuck on it, and it feels good. So Sonic Dream Team gets Pretty Damn Dandy just for having good rail grinding sections. That's it. I didn't think I was going to be as impassionate about Sonic Dream Team as I was there, but yeah, I did, and the music was good. And God, I was excited about this game coming out. It was fine. It was bright, colourful, like Dark Souls type parody, not parody, but parry game is what I meant to say, not a parody. Based on like environmental combat. Again, it was an indie game. They clearly didn't have a huge amount of budget outside the initial concept, so there was a lot of repetition. Quite short though. Yeah, it was fine. Like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about it. Full Service. This started well. Good voice cast. Got Troy Baker in it, playing a psychopath. But the ending was one of those like, oh, what happened? We're not gonna say either way. You can up to you what happened in the ending, which I hate. Because they didn't explain anything about like all of the stuff that was happening, which just feels like they're lazy rather than like inventive. But it was a genre that I like, which is exploring an abandoned space station where something's happened and trying to figure out what happened. And it was quite pretty. I'd probably put it in it's probably about the quite dandy level. It was okay. Marvel Snap. So I played this for like a solid month and really enjoyed it. And I put quite a bit of money into it, and then just dropped off really, really hard, just as soon as the season ended, and I've struggled to go back into it, and it's weird because I did really enjoy it. I'm going to put it in Dandy. I did have fun with the game. I think it's a fun game. It's an interesting mechanic. I was quite good at it as well. I won a lot more games than I lost. A lot of the times I lost as well was just from like people using cards I wasn't familiar with, or mechanics I wasn't familiar with. So if I'd played it more, I probably would have gotten better at it, or probably that I was playing people who were low ranked. Yeah, it's a fun. I think it's a fun little card game. The monetization and unlocking new cards is a bit grindy after a while. Like they give you quite a few cards early on, and then it kind of slows to a crawl as you start getting the later cards. And so you do kind of feel like it is kind of frustrating when you just want to build the deck, because there's no way to buy cards outside of using real money that you want, and even then you have to wait for them to be in the shop. So if they want to build a specific deck, you kind of have to like grind playing decks you don't like until you get a card you like. Yeah, it was fine. It's free to play. American Arcadia. This was fun. Troy Baker. Not not Troy Baker, Yuri Lowenthal was the main character in this game, and he just sounded like Spider-Man the entire game. It's a Truman Show side-scroller platforming puzzle game where you play as Trevor, I think his name was, trying to escape from this fake 80s TV show where all the people inside didn't realize they were in a TV show. And there's some good twists and turns. There was... It was... They could have just gone down the Truman... They could have just done a Truman Show game. And they had enough twists and... like... stuff came up that was like... okay, that was pretty clever. The ending was a little bit... wasn't very satisfying. But it was fine. I'm going to put it in... I'll put it in dandy. Like, it was fun. I'd say play it if you get a chance. Dredge! I like Cthulhu stuff. I like fishing. This was a fishing game with Cthulhu, with eldritch monsters. So, yeah. This was a fun little game. I 100%ed this, got all the achievements. I think it's getting some DLC. I don't know if I could be bothered to go back and play it. I think it's already had a little bit of like photo DLC, but like, yeah, it was really good. It was, again, it's one of those games that's like, I feel like I wanted to enjoy it more than I did playing it, but I did still enjoy it. It might have just been my mood at the time when I was playing it. Like, it was one of those games where I'm like, this has all the elements of a game I should enjoy, but I'm just not, I'm not as excited about playing this as I feel like I should be. It's a weird thing. I'm going to put it in very dandy. It was a good game. It was a really, really good game. It was good. The ending, both endings were really interesting as well. And I like it didn't wear out its welcome. It was just long enough that you get to the point where you're like, yeah, that's probably enough for me. Final Fantasy 16. I'm probably going to put this in haven't finished yet, but seems dandy, because I've only put maybe like 5 or 6 hours into this game, and it is short. It is on the shorter side of games. I just had I do want to go back to it and finish it because I did enjoy it. And I was not hyped for this game at all before it came out, and then I played it. I played the demo, and the demo just, yeah, that clicked for me. The demo sucked me in. I was like, okay, good, yeah, this is a good demo because it made me buy the game. And I was enjoying what I did. I have enjoyed what I have played of Final Fantasy 16. So I'm going to put it in haven't finished it, but seems dandy. I do intend to go back and finish it. I still have God of War Ragnarok as well to finish from last year. I really wish I hadn't bought that last year, because I bought that, paid 2 hours of it, and then haven't touched it since. And it's been over a year. I do intend to go and finish both of those at some point, though. Paranormal Sight. I played this for an hour and a half on Friday. It was not what I was expecting. I was expecting a creepy, like, mystery graphic visual novel. And I got JoJo. I got like a shonen, like, battle manga. I'm only an hour and a half into it, and I would like to go and play some more of it, so I'm going to put it in haven't finished yet, but seems dandy. It's reviewed very well, which is why I played it. But yeah, it wasn't what I expected, so I'm excited to sort of sit down and play some more of it. It's finding the time to play is the problem, because I wish it was on Switch. I wish I'd bought the Switch version. I think it is on Switch. Anyway, Hi-Fi Rush. This game blew me away. It's like, it blew everyone away because it just came out of nowhere. It was like there was no idea that they were working on it, and they just went, "Hey." I'm trying to remember the name of the studio. It was Keiji Ifune's studio, the Resident Evil guy. And he just went, "Hey, Hi-Fi Rush is out." And it was this beautiful blend of rhythm, anime, like Western animation, like just... There's a scene that really sort of summed it all up where it went from cartoon, animated cutscene, to in-game, to pre-rendered, and back to in-game, seamlessly, with no loading or anything like that. Genuinely a treat of a game to look at. Hi-Fi Rush is a game that defied the current modern trends it's done so heartily. And to boot, it carries the charm of games in the 2000s, complete the faux 2D style, and the 2.5D Arc System Works games have, like Guilty Gear and stuff. I wrote this beforehand. It's a very succinct review of it. And yeah, I agree with all of that. I think Hi-Fi Rush, and I wish Hi-Fi Rush won some more awards. I'm happy that it won Best... It didn't win Best Soundtrack. It won Best Audio, I think. Audio Direction, which I think is correct. My two complaints about Hi-Fi Rush... well, not really a complaint. One complaint I have about Hi-Fi Rush is I didn't think the soundtrack was very good. Of the levels I played. I will say I haven't finished it. Again, it's another one of those games that I do need to go back and finish, and because I really was enjoying it, I just didn't finish it for whatever reason. I'm about halfway through, I think. I didn't think the soundtrack was very good, but I did stream some of it, and I was playing in streamer mode, so maybe the songs on the normal mode were better. The other thing is, it's just that I'm not very good at rhythm games. I like rhythm. Rhythm games are one of those things. Rhythm games and fighting games are genres that I really like, and I'm terrible at. And Hi-Fi Rush... I was not good at Hi-Fi Rush. I was... So there were bits that were quite frustrating for me because I don't have a really good sense of rhythm. It's going to go in pretty damn dandy, don't get me wrong. It's still, I think, one of the best games I played this year. And I think, again, it's similar to Baldur's Gate, where it's in a genre that... It's in a genre that I don't like. Well, it's in a genre that it doesn't appeal to me because I'm not good at it. And that's kind of what knocks it down a little bit on my tier list. But I still acknowledge it as being one of the best games this year. And I feel like it should have got more awards because I feel like there just hasn't been anything like it. It was so original and so interesting. And I want to see more. I want to see more of stuff like that. This is when I say video games should copy other games when they do something right. Hi-Fi Rush is a game that I hope other people copy because it did a lot of things right, and I'd like to see that in other games. Yeah. I Am Future. This was an early access game. I played through all of the content that was available in early access. I don't really remember much about it. I think you're like the CEO. I think it's implied that it's a post-apocalyptic game. It's like a cozy base builder type thing. I think the implication at the end of the early access section is that maybe I caused the apocalypse and I don't remember. That's about it as far as plot goes. It was fine. I'll probably put it in... No, I put it in quite dandy. It is early access, so obviously I'll probably play it again when it releases properly. There's another one in this list somewhere that's very similar. But I did enjoy what I did play of it, and I think when the full game comes out, it could be quite good. Licensed music plays a big factor in carrying that charm. Yeah, I think. Again, soundtrack is a huge thing for me in a lot of games, but in a game where the soundtrack is one of the main focuses, it does really need to be really strong, and I just feel like Hi-Fi Rush is what I just didn't like Hi-Fi Rush that much from the songs that I've heard so far. It was, like I said, it was okay, but I think of games like Ostatke Winden and Gitaru Man, which are other rhythm games that I love and I'm terrible at. And the soundtracks of those games were so good. So good. Slay the Princess. This game's great. I recommend this game. It has so many permeations that you can go through. There's so many different versions of the princess that you can see just based on your choices. You only see 5 versions of the princess per playthrough. I only played through it once. I kind of feel like it's the kind of game where you should only play through it once. And that's just my opinion. The game, I mean, there are achievements for seeing every permutation, so the game, obviously there's the option to play through it multiple times and see every different version. But I feel like, I didn't feel like I wanted to play this game. I feel like, I was like, yeah, I was happy with that sort of once through. I got my 5 princesses. I was happy with that. I played this on recommendation because the art style didn't really do anything for me, and I'm so glad I did, because the art style is like intentionally kind of off-putting. Yeah, it was really good. It was really good. I think it's fully voiced as well. Yeah, it was fully voiced. So it's... I genuinely want to... It's definitely at least there. I'm honestly tempted to put it... No, I put it in pretty damn dandy. It's around sort of the level of World of Horror. It was one of those games where it was like, I really, really enjoyed the concept of it and really enjoyed the execution of it. But yeah, I don't have any interest in playing any more of it. It was weird. It was. I feel like it was a very complete package in what I played. But you can absolutely go back and just replay it over and over and over again and get all the different versions. I just didn't want to. X8. This was a game that kind of came out with a very simple premise of you are lost in a Japanese subway station, and as someone who has found themselves lost in a Japanese subway station, I'm affecting in the Shinjuku subway station, which I think this is specifically what X8 was based on. That resonated with me, and I was like, yeah, I found myself in that situation. It's a very short game. I've seen apparently people play it, can finish it in 20 minutes. It took me about an hour 15. I think it took me about to get through it and got all the things. Yeah, simple game, simple concept, one and done, very cheap game. And yeah, I feel like, again, it did what it set out to do very, very well. So yeah, it was very dandy for me. Bro, that's relatable. I got lost as a kid. Oh, I was an adult. Japanese subway stations are confusing as fuck, man. Like, the Shinjuku subway station as well is so labyrinthian, and like our hotel was in Shinjuku, so we went through the station every single day, and I was still getting lost in it. Right up until the last day. It's such a confusing place, and obviously all the signs are in, like, not in English. Yeah, confusing. But yeah, fun game. I recommend X8 if you just want like a little hour-long thing to do. Infinity Strash, Dragon Quest: The Legend of Dai, a game that is very, very long. I was really looking forward to this game because I played Jump Force a few years back. It had Dai in it, and I really liked. Me and my friend really got attached to Dai because we liked the Infinity Strash. We thought Strash was a funny name for an attack. And then I heard like really good things about Legend of Dai, and then this was supposed to be a really cool recreation of that game, of the anime, and I played it, and it was so when they marketed it, the trailers had all these like cutscenes. All of the story was told in game, in the game engine, and the reality of it was so much. It was a slideshow. Like, it was literally a lot of just sitting and watching clips. Not even clips from the anime. I got a preferred clips from the anime. It was still shots of the anime with dialogue over the top of it. And then the gameplay itself was incredibly generic. It's the only game, I think... Yeah, I think it's the only game on this list I tried to refund after I finished playing it, and they wouldn't refund it, and I just deleted it off. I got it on Xbox, and I just deleted it, and I haven't gone back to play it. I'm going to put this in Not So Dandy. It feels like it was soulless. It was hard. It was bland. It's a shame because the few bits of in-game cutscenes they did have were quite good. I was expecting something like more like Kakarot, where it's like the whole game, the whole sort of story is retold in game engine and not through slideshows. It was such a disappointment. map of subways are like window pipe screen cleaners. Yeah, they are. They are. It's the London Underground I've had trouble with as well. It's the London Underground's not as bad because it's kind of like lots of different connected tiny stations, but yeah. Anyway, yeah, Infinity Strash, bad game. Genuinely, I think it was marketed badly. It was marketed. Not marketed badly. I think it was like intentionally marketed insincerely. They try to hide the type of game what it actually was. Yeah, terrible game. Trouble Odyssey. This was another early access game. I really liked the art style of this game. It's kind of like 80s space anime, like. Oh, I can't remember the name of the freaking thing now, but 80s space anime, like Harlock and the train one. I can't remember what it's called. The Galactic Train. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. It looks. I really liked the idea of the game, and it's like the gameplay is like faster than light. You're on a spaceship. You have to. Keep your crew alive and build stuff. I think I might enjoy this game once it's finished because the early access version only had like one character to play as, and you had to play the story mode, and so it was all quite structured, and it was just kind of boring. There wasn't really a lot happening, and I think I would have preferred more chaos and more. Like you had like hundreds of crewmates, and I think my crew just slowly starved to death. And I couldn't quite figure out what I was doing wrong that was making them starve to death. I can put it not so dandy. This game at least had like passion. It just wasn't for me. And again, I think I might like it more when it's finished. But the version I played of it, I'm going to put down in not so dandy. It was, yeah, I just didn't have any fun with that. Does get points for keeping the anime OST. See, I never watched the anime, so it didn't really affect me anyway, but much like, no, I got you referring to Infinity Strash. Much like Demon Slayer: The Hinokami Chronicles. I didn't play Demon. I do like Demon Slayer. I didn't play the game. I generally steer clear of anime games because a lot of them are like I feel like fluffed up because they're licensed games. And so they charge like full price for a game that if it wasn't a licensed game would probably only be worth maybe like 2/3 of the price. But they have to get their licensing fee back, so they overcharge. And again, I'm maybe not articulating that as well as I can, but like they a lot of them are just kind of arena brawlers that they kind of just flat like it's mostly Namco Bandai, and they've just like stuck another skin over the top of their like Naruto Hero. They've taken Naruto Hero and they've slapped My Hero Academia characters on it and gone, here's a My Hero Academia arena brawler, that kind of thing. And I just think I don't want to play that. I did almost pick up, and I didn't, and I kind of regret not getting it because it was apparently quite good. It's the football one. And I understand it didn't do very well, which is a shame. But it was probably one of those. It was probably the sort of thing where it's like I just couldn't risk. I didn't want to spend 60 quid on a game that I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I'm rambling a little bit. There are other anime games on this list, as you can see. So we'll get to them when we get to them. Like a Dragon Ishin. I remember people being really excited about this game finally getting a Western release, because this was the one that came on PSP originally. And it's a Yakuza spin-off, or Like a Dragon, whatever they're calling it now. Set in the 1800s, I think, during the Edo period. Where you play as a samurai, it's joining the Shinsengumi instead of a criminal. It was kind of bland, though. I didn't finish it. I played quite a lot of it. I played quite a lot of the house game. but it took a really long time to get going. I remember I pre-ordered it, and I got like a Nyana's summon thing, and I was really excited to like use it so I could, you know, because I like Nyanas, and I wanted to see my pink cat girl, and I played it. I don't think I ever unlocked the ability to summon anything in the time I played it. I put a good sort of 10-15 hours into this game as well. I'll probably put it in around here, quite dandy. It was kind of disappointing. I haven't played many Yakuza games as well, and so yeah, it was just kind of dull. I didn't like the combat that much either. It was quite funny. I do remember there's because you had a gun. There was like you had different sort of styles, and you could do gun and sword, gun, or I think you could use a big sword. I can't remember. And I just remember the gun just being like really funny because these people would just be like, "I'm coming at you," and you just shoot them in the face, and it's like, why would I not use the gun? The gun sword style was great though. I like that. But yeah, I remember the combat being not as fun as regular Yakuza. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to summon Nyanas, and I never got that far. Mario Brothers Wonder. So I only got this game for Christmas. I played it I played it on Tuesday last week, briefly, where I did like a challenge mode where I was playing as both Peach and Daisy, which was really hard, but was quite fun. After that, I have played a bit more. I mostly went back and replayed all the levels from the first and second world. So I've only done the first 2 worlds of Super Mario Wonder. I feel like I've played enough of it though to get an idea of it. I've also played 2 of the like really hard stages in the sky in the secret level, and I've managed to 100% both of those. Those levels are so hard, but so fun to play. I'm really looking forward to playing more of the special stages in Mario Wonder because like that's the kind of difficulty I like. The thing with Mario is I don't like Mario as much. I don't dislike Mario. I just don't like Mario games. So I only generally ever get the Mario games that are really good. So I wouldn't buy like I haven't played any. I might have one of the new Super Mario Brothers games. I think I might have bought one for the co-op. But I wouldn't normally buy a 2D Mario game unless it was it reviewed really well, which is why I only just picked this up at Christmas. And I picked it up because people were saying this was like a 10 out of 10 game, and I agree. And it's going to go pretty damn dandy with these. And again, it's the only reason it's not going into right dandy is just because I don't like Mario games. Like if this was a Sonic game, I'd probably put it slightly higher, and that's just my bias. And this is my list, so that's what's going to be. It is a very good game. I can tell even not having finished it, but it is a Mario game, and so yeah, it's only disappearing platforms, bro. Oh man, yeah, that wall jump level with the platforms that are only available on like a timer that you have to do to beat the music. Like that took me so. It took me about an hour to do that level, and get all of the. I was so happy that I got the top of the flagpole when I did it. Oh no, I had to do that level twice because I missed one of the purple coins. Or did I miss the flagpole? I can't remember. I might have missed the flagpole. No, I only had to do that one once. I only did that one. It was the second one I had to do twice. The second one was a lot easier. The first one, though, yeah, with the music and the disappearing platforms. Jesus Christ, that level took me so long. Fun, though. Like I said, it was fun challenging. It reminded me a lot of playing the hard levels in Rayman Legends. Friggin' love Rayman Legends, man. That's such a good platformer. Anyway, Super Mario RPG. This game was fine. Super Mario RPG, the original, never came out in Europe, so I never played it. I didn't have a SNES anyway, so I probably wouldn't have played it even if it had come out. I'd seen a couple of YouTubers play it, and it always struck me as being like one of these games that just was like a thing of its time. I never saw anything that made me want to play it. But then they were like, we're remaking it. We've updated. We've added a few quality of life things. It's nice. Got a new nice shiny coat of paint on it. And I went, yeah, cool. Let me just have a try at it. It's fine. The combat, like the active combat stuff, like being able to, having to pay attention all the way through all of the combat, like having to time your jumps and having to time your blocks and things like that, meant that I never really switched off during combat, and I feel like there wasn't enough combat for me to get bored of it either. But the plot's really simple. There's not a huge amount going on. I feel like the final act of that game was also really disappointing. Like, the final boss was easy, and also just, you know, it just kind of, the final dungeon was just kind of whatever. It was kind of there. I think it's the kind of game where if I had played it in the 90s when I was a teenager, I would have a lot of love for it, and I'd probably be a lot more attached to it. But I kind of came off it thinking, that was fine. For that reason, I'd probably put it... Yeah, I'd probably put it in the bottom of Very Dandy. I probably would put it slightly higher than Sonic Superstars, but only just. Again, Sonic Superstars gets bonus points for being a Sonic game, I think. Again, that's my bias. Great to see Daisy get some mainline action. Oh, with Wonder, yeah. It was a shame Rosalina's not there, but I guess because of the height of the characters, that would be difficult. I will say with Wonder as well, it does feel like, and I said this on Tuesday when I played it, it does feel like that they are just going through fetishes now for the power-ups. Like, genuinely, they're just going through Pornhub categories and going, inflation? Yeah. Big, giant woman? We'll make him an elephant, sure. Slime? Yeah, turn him into a slime, that's fine. Like, it does... there are so many, like, power-ups in that game that I just looked at and just went, this is someone's fetish. This is absolutely someone's fetish. My Friendly Neighborhood. We played this on Saturday. Well, it started on Friday, finished on Saturday. It was good. It was first-person puppet, kind of a parody of Sesame Street, but with Resident Evil mechanics, which I didn't realise. If they'd marketed it as being more of a Resident Evil game before it came out, I might have been more excited for it. I thought it was going to be like a Bend in the Ink Machine type game, which is a genre game, kind of game I'm just not that interested in. But the fact it was like a Resident Evil game, that appealed to me. It was kind of easy. I was playing on the hardest difficulty that was available to me when I started, and I was reserving. I was like conserving all of my stuff as much as possible. And there's a few tricky bits at the start. I did die a couple of times. But then as I got close to the end of the game, I had so much stuff because I was trying to conserve. I was playing a survival horror, and so I was trying to conserve my ammo and tools. And I realized, oh, I've got like 6 clips of ammo. I've got like 10 rolls of duct tape. Yeah, so it could have done with being a bit. The final boss as well was a joke, although I did have a secret weapon for fighting it, but it could have been a bit harder. But I liked it. I'd probably put that in Very Dandy. Again, I think it did what it wanted to do very well. And it was obviously a smaller studio and a smaller budget. Yeah, fun game. Shadows of Doubt. This game's on early access. I really like it. I've played it twice. I played the new update. I'm really looking forward to looking at the final version of this game. I think this is a game I really enjoy, and I think that there's certain things, if they added to the game, could propel this up to like a 9 or a 10. I think it's like about a 7 out of 10 at the moment. It's a detective game where it's procedurally generated, and you are a private eye in a cyberpunk alternate future. I think it's actually an alternate past. I think it's in the 80s you play. Where you're solving crimes, murders, infidelity. Sometimes you're being asked to like break in and take photos of things or smash stuff up for people. There's a few different types of jobs you can do. What I'd like to see is some of the NPC AI is kind of got a similar problem to Hitman in that they've made the AI of the characters somewhat predictable to the point where it's not really that fun because you kind of know what people are going to do. But I'd also like to see some like traits for the detective. Anyway, point is, I feel like this is a really good game. It's going to go in very dandy, and I think depending on what they do with it when they finish it, this could propel it up the ranks when it finally sort of comes out. I won't say any more than that. It's a fun game though. Star Rail, Honkai Star Rail. I wanted to like. I still do dip into this game occasionally. I want to like this game, but after I got the ability to just fast forward and auto battle all of the combat, I didn't see any reason to turn it off because it's a gacha game. I got a few 5-star units. Are they 5-star, 4-star? I think they're 5-star. The premium units. I got lucky, and I got Argenti, who's one of the most recent ones. Who's got a guy with red hair and roses. You can maybe understand why I wanted to get that guy. They're very powerful, and honestly, you just don't really need to like think about the combat. And there's so much stuff that's unlocked that's kind of sealed behind playing through the main story, and I feel like the main story is not that good. Mostly because it's not presented very well. Like, they keep talking about shit that I don't know what they're talking about, and I don't know. They're like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I've missed something or if they expected me to read some primer that explains all of the in-game lore or something. I don't know. I do still jump into it because it's a very highly polished game, and I like the character. I like some of the character designs, and I kind of want to like it. But yeah, it's gonna go in dandy at best because of. Yeah, I'll keep it in dandy. I think when there's a new game by the same people, Zero Zone Zenless or Zenless Zone Zero. It says something like that. That's coming out this year now. I think when that comes out, Star Rail will basically will be uninstalled, and I will play that instead because it has a guy who's a bear. It's the character designs in that look way more interesting as well. Any funny highlights from the games you played? No, was the Boulder incident in Tears of the Kingdom. I've been putting up shorts and stuff across the year for most of these games. Some of the games I played though, it's difficult because it's like I played through a whole stream but there wasn't like one particular moment that stood out at me. Zelda was a great game for like little moments. There were so many bits from Zelda which is why it's my game of the year, because it just like. There was just so many bits and so many sequences and the timing on some stuff. The rain left as soon as he got KO'd. Yeah, I do remember that when I was trying to do a thing, and it cleared up, and it was like, oh great, thank you. Yeah, Zelda was a great game. It was a great game. I remember trying to get to like one of the dragons, and I spent 45 minutes to an hour building flying machines trying to get to this dragon platform, and then I eventually got to this platform, and obviously it was one of the Gleoks, one of the 3 elemental Gleok things, and I had like 7 hearts, and I beat it because I cowered behind a pillar and used a load of Gleok eyes, used a lot of the bat eyes to kill it. But it was one of those moments I was like, I can't really like distill this down into like a video or anything, or into a short. But it was one of those moments that I was like, that was a fun sequence of events. Just trying to get to the Gleok, and then fighting the Gleok by the skin of my teeth, and actually managing to beat it. Yeah, and it's part of the reason why it's my favorite game of the year, because there were so many moments like that where I was like, I couldn't get that from any other game. The vehicle building stuff in Zelda was great. I kind of regret getting to the point where I had the hover bike, because the hover bike just solved so many problems. It kind of defeated the point of like trying to innovate anything after anything else. But it was super useful for exploring the depths. So it's kind of like the double-edged sword. It was really useful, but it kind of then killed any innovation. What are we on? Final Fantasy VII, Ever Crisis. So I've streamed this game a couple of times. This was the game that was touted as being a remake of Final Fantasy VII and some of the other compilation of Final Fantasy VII games. And it isn't really a remake, it's just kind of a like, hey, do you remember this? That you can't learn the story of Final Fantasy VII and Crisis Core by playing this. You really have to play Final Fantasy VII and Crisis Core. But it is a nice, like, oh, I remember this bit from Final Fantasy VII. I remember this scene. I remember this dungeon. You know, and it's got an original story in the form of the First Soldier, which I am enjoying. And it's honestly the only reason I keep playing it is because of the First Soldier stuff. I think the game itself is fine, but the monetization of the game is really bad. I've never felt any need to spend any money on it, and they bring out banners and new weapons so frequently, which I guess is they do in gacha games. But and there's no way to skip as well. Like if you play through a level, they expect you to like play through levels multiple times, but with no way of skipping them. So most gacha games, you play a game once, and then it's like, here's 10 skip tickets. I could skip it 10 times and get the rewards for playing it 10 times. Boom. They want you to sit there, and I mean, you turn on the auto battle and fast forward like you do with any gacha game, but you just have to sit there and every 5 minutes look over and go, battle again. And I just got bored of that. Hey, salutations, Briar. Happy New Year to you. It's indeed a real dandy. I told you I'd use my model for the New Year stream, and here I am. Yeah, so I genuinely would not be surprised if this game got shut down, and I hope that if they do, the assets get repurposed for something else, because the assets are really good. Like there's one cutscene. There's the cutscene of the bit where Cloud and the gang escape from the Shinra Tower, where Cloud escapes on his motorbike and the other guys get into a truck. That's remade using the sort of updated graphics, and that cutscene alone just made me go, man, I wish this was a proper remake of Final Fantasy VII, because I'd love to play a whole game that looked like that. Such a good cutscene. Thank you, Brian. Hope you had a good New Year, good start to the New Year, and a good end to the old one. Where are we? Wanted Dead. So, this is one of those games that I'm gonna rank higher than it should definitely get. Wanted Dead is not a good game. Wanted Dead is a bad game. I want to be very clear that it is not a good game. It is not fun to play. It's janky. It's difficult. It's stilted. It's one of 3 games that I have streamed on the channel where I got so bored of playing it, or so kind of frustrated and bored of playing it, that I stopped and watched the ending on YouTube. The other 2 games are, one was Returnal, which is a great game but glitched out when I was trying to get the final ending, and I couldn't be bothered to play through a whole other loop to try and get it again. And Sonic Omens, which is a Sonic fan game, which is also terrible. However, there was enough in Wanted Dead that made me believe it was clearly a passion project of the developer. This wasn't soulless, it wasn't phoned in, like, it wasn't like Infinity Strash, where it was just people, they had a license and they were just trying to make kind of a whatever game with the license they had. This was clearly a passion project. They clearly wanted this to be a thing. It was weird. They were interesting characters. It was like strange. The direction of the game was so strange. You'd go from a rhythm game where you were eating noodles to talking to someone about their cat, and then you'd then have there'd be a shower scene after every level, and then you'd then go and do some combat. And there was a claw game, and there was like you then cut to them being in a diner wearing casual clothes and talking about like all sorts of stuff. Like it was just such a weird game. This game absolutely deserves to be here. Like just on the merits of it being a game. It was not a good game. It was not fun to play. I hated it, but I liked it. I'm gonna put it on Dandy. It's not gonna go any higher than Dandy. I'm gonna put it up here. I'm gonna put it up top here with Sonic Superstars. It was not a good game, but I liked it. In spite of how terrible a game it was, I really enjoyed it. In spite of the fact that I hated it so much, I couldn't be bothered to finish it because the final level was such a slog. Like I died and I looked up how much more I had left to do, and I just went, I can't be bothered. So we'll just watch a video, and we just watched a YouTube video of someone fight the final boss, and then the ending. I'm so glad that we did because it was very disappointing. But it's a terrible game. I don't recommend it. Do not buy Wanted Dead, but I still thought it was alright. I can't explain exactly why. I liked it. I liked how terrible it was. No, it's not even a so bad it's good kind of thing. It's not even a so bad good. It's just a bad game. But I liked the game. The gameplay was bad. The gameplay was bad. The characters, the story. The story wasn't great either. But the game direction and the characters and the vibe of the game, I guess, was just I really enjoyed. Like it's the kind of game where if the gameplay had been good, it could well have been one of my favorite games this year. But the gameplay was so bad that I just it's not a so bad it's good kind of thing though. It's a terrible game. Don't watch it. If anything, I'd say watch a YouTube video of someone playing it. I wouldn't even say watch me play it because it was so bad and it was so hard. I got stuck on some areas for ages and I got so frustrated and mad. I wouldn't even say watch my stream of it. I would just say watch like a compilation of the cutscenes or something. If anything. Yeah. That's Wanted Dead's that game that just really stood that is kind of like the wild card game, I think, this year. I think all the rest of them all the rest of the games I feel like I'm quite comfortable where they are. I'm not comfortable putting Wanted Dead in Dandy, but I don't feel comfortable putting it anywhere else either. Like I said, it deserves to be here. It absolutely deserves to be in not Dandy, but I'm putting it there. Angry Dandy is good rare content. That is true. I don't get I can't even think of the words. But yeah. I don't get my jimmies rustled that frequently. I'm gonna just be right back. Actually, no, I've got. There we go. Actually, I'm alright. I was gonna say I'm gonna be right back to get a drink, and I realised I still had some drink left for my Rubicon. That should get me through the rest of these games. Yeah, I hope I've explained why Wanted Dead is where it is, but if I haven't, just deal with it. My Hero Ultra Rumble. I didn't actually... Technically, I haven't played this game. I only played the betas that came out. This is the My Hero Academia Battle Royale. People seem to really like it. I didn't. Let's go there. I played for an afternoon as... I think I played as Uravity. Or maybe I played as either Froppy or Uravity, I can't remember. And I was playing a healing role, and I just... It never felt... I just didn't feel like... I just didn't like it. I didn't like the premise, I didn't like the execution. I didn't think it was fun to play. People like it though. I like Dragon Ball Breakers, and people don't like that, so it's interesting. Omega Strikers. This game's been sunset, unfortunately, which is a shame. I think they're keeping the servers up. They're just not gonna add. They're just not adding any more content to it. It didn't sort of take off as much as they wanted to. This was one of these games, and I tweeted about this. In regards to Genshin Impact. I haven't played Genshin Impact, and the reason I haven't played Genshin Impact is because I don't like the character designs in that game. I think they're bland. If that might be a hot take, I don't know, but I think the character designs in Genshin Impact are very, very bland. I think the character designs in Omega Striker are very good. I really like the character designs in Omega Striker. However, I don't like the gameplay in Omega Strikers. It's a sort of dodgeball... what's that game? Windbreakers? Is that what it was called? Where you're 3-on-3 puck game where you play as 3 different characters who all have abilities. I got my friends to play it. We couldn't even play. They wouldn't even play 10 games with me to get the play 10 games with friends challenge because they after 7 games they were just like, we don't want to play this anymore. It doesn't do a very good job of explaining how mechanics, and there are a lot of mechanics for a lot of different characters. I think it kind of shot itself in the foot by being a bit too overcomplicated, and the learning curve was maybe a bit too high yeah. Like there were so many different mechanics for so many different characters. Like you could summon adds. You could increase your size, you could decrease your size, there's sort of stagger mechanics, there was heat mechanics. Yeah, I think they just needed to make it a bit simpler. I had a fun time with Ultra Rumble, got to play with the dub actor of Denki, the Electro Boy. Oh, that's cool. That's neat. It's always fun. I remember I played a game last year where the voice actor showed up in chat for the main character. It's always fun when that happens. I do like My Hero Academia, I should say. I played it because I do like because I really like My Hero Academia, but yeah, just didn't click with me. I agree on Genshin. Everyone's 1,000 years old and looks 12. Yeah, there's like 4 character types in Genshin. In that it's young man, young woman. Basically, Bishonen, Bishoujo, Shota, and Lolly. Those are the 4 character types in Genshin. There are no buff characters. There are no, like, conventionally unattractive characters. There's no, like, dommy-mommy characters. There's no old men or no, Osan-type characters. Hey, salutations, Jin. Happy New Year to you, too. Hope you're having a good 2024 so far. I'm just slagging off Genshin Impact. So, good timing. Essentially 3v3 hockey. Yeah. So that's basically what Omega Strikers is, hockey. Oh, you're friends with the VA. Oh, okay. Well, that's even better then. Well, I mean, like, I had no problems with the voice acting in that game. In fact, I think when I play, I think the game only has the Japanese voice acting anyway, doesn't it? I can't remember. But yeah, it's... Yeah. But that's cool. What was I saying? Yeah, so I really like the character designs of Omega Striker. I would really hope they take the character designs from this game and put them in a different game. Because... Yeah, there were so many character designs in this game that I just really like clicked with me, but I just didn't like Omega Strikers. It just was not a fun game to play. One Piece! So this is One Piece Odyssey. This was the One Piece RPG that came out at the beginning of the year. I had really high hopes for this game because it looked really like they've really gone to great lengths to sort of make a proper One Piece RPG, and they had. But then also, I mean, this was the thing I was complaining about anime games earlier. They also cut a load of corners. Like, you spent the first 10 hours of that game is spent in Alabasta, and then all the rest of the arcs that they cover, and they don't cover all the arcs, they only cover like 4 arcs, are all like 3 hours long. So the game itself is like 20 hours long, and half of it is Alabasta. It was something ridiculous like that. It was still okay, but it was just kind of, it had that stink of like licensed anime, like kind of half phoned in. You know, this is an average game that people will buy because it's got One Piece on the front on the top. If it wasn't a One Piece game, people wouldn't buy it, and it's absolutely why I bought the game. So they got me. But the new plot, and the new characters were quite interesting, at least. There has been DLC for it, and I have zero interest in playing any of it. So, I don't remember if you playing that as Robin grabbing balls. Yes, yeah, there was quite an entertaining arc across the game where Robin has her technique that she uses against Frankie, where she can grab the testicles of different characters, but some characters it was ineffective against. So it was interesting trying out the techniques against different characters to find out which characters had testicles and which characters didn't. And it was interesting because you could use the attack against Logia characters like I think you fought Kizaru, and you fought Magma guy. I do know the One Piece character names, but I'm drawing a blank at the moment. The Grand Admiral, whatever his name, the Magma guy who killed Ace. You can grab his balls, and but it's ineffective. But the reason is because they're Logia characters, so they can turn their balls into lightning, or they can turn their balls into magma, and so Robin's attack doesn't work. What was interesting is her attack didn't work against Doflamingo. Doflamingo can, as far as I know, turn his balls into string. So canonically, I don't think Doflamingo has balls. But we did also consider the possibility that he was using Haki on his testicles to prevent Robin from crushing them. So, like I said, it was an interesting arc over the course of the game. That was, I think, probably the best thing of the game, is just finding out which characters we could hurt, which characters' balls we could hurt. Yeah. The shape of things. I was going to do a stream of this game, and then I couldn't be bothered, so I just played it. And I'm glad, because this game's not good. I get what they were trying to go for. The premise of the game is that you open these little Gashapon toys, and then you have these like little Gashapon toys that you rotate and to put them together. And it's supposed to be like this kind of comfy, wholesome, like little, just comfy game that you like, kind of on the same vein as. There's another one called A Little to the Left, which I haven't played, but I watched other people play, where like you're aligning forks and picture frames and things like that. Feels like it's supposed to be the same kind of vein as that. It's not well executed though. It's actually it was kind of frustrating to play, because like you have to rotate and enlarge and change the shape of stuff, and it's kind of finicky sometimes to get it exactly right. And there was also no real reward for doing it. Like, you got a coin for doing each one, and you could use the coins to buy new Gashapon, but you couldn't look at your toys once you made them. Like, you made like a set of 10 at a time for each world that you unlocked. But you couldn't look at the toys once you'd made them in like kind of like a diorama or anything. You just made them and then they disappeared. So it's kind of like, it was like they were trying to go for this kind of like itch scratching comfy game, and it was just kind of frustrating. So it's gonna go not so dandy. Payday 3. This had a lot of problems with people at launch because of the network problems. I never ran into any network problems, so I'm not going to talk about that. I've played Payday 1, I've played Payday 2. I've also now played Payday 3. I don't really get the mentality of people. No, that's not what I was supposed to say. I don't have the mentality, I should say, of, oh, this game has 8 levels. Replay these same 8 levels 100 times each. I don't want to do that. It's why I don't like Left 4 Dead. It's why I don't. Well, I do like Left 4 Dead, but it's why I never played Left 4 Dead more than once. Similarly, it's why I only we played Payday 3. I played it with 2 of my friends, and we played through all of the heists once. And we replayed a couple of the early ones because we had some time left after we finished the last one. And then we went, okay, that's Payday 3, uninstall it. I would much rather have a game with like 50 heists than have 8 heists that you just have to replay over and over and over again. I just don't understand why. I just don't understand the appeal of playing, especially with a multiplayer game when you have to. So, like, if it was your own ability and you could kind of like train it yourself, I could kind of understand trying to like improve yourself. When you need to rely on 3 other people to also do it, unless you've got a group of 3 people who also have that same mentality, I just don't really see the appeal. So, but it was playing through it once, and it was on Games Pass, so it was free. It didn't cost us any money, any extra money. Playing through the game once was fine, so it goes quite dandy for that. And that's why I say I realised the TMT collaborations are consistently more expensive. Well, you say that. The Fortnite had some TMT collaborations recently, and I thought they were reasonably priced compared to a lot of stuff. I thought the Fortnite TMT costumes, they were also really good costumes as well. But like compared to the Dragon Ball collabs that just came out, yeah, they were much more reasonably priced. Because with the TMT ones, it was what, 1,600 V-Bucks for a skin, which came with a backpack, with a back bling and a pickaxe. Whereas the Cell and Frieza ones are, I think, 1,800, and they don't come with a pickaxe. So. But I do know what you mean to coming up to Street Fighter 6. Yes, the TMT collabs in that were ridiculous. We'll discuss that though. How I feel like Rainbow Six Siege and Left 4 Dead. Yeah, Left 4 Dead is definitely one. We played Back 4 Blood. Is that what it was called? The spiritual successor, and it was fine. Like it was fine playing it through once. It clearly wasn't as good as Left 4 Dead, but it was fine. But I don't have any desire whatsoever to go back and replay like the levels over and over and over again to try and like unlock more stuff. Fair play to you if you do. I know some people love replaying those games over and over. It just doesn't get me. I saw the Rocket League and Fall Guys prices and bruh. Oh yeah, Fall Guys ones are quite expensive. I don't know about Rocket League, but the Fortnite one I thought was reasonable. Planet Alana. This kind of game is kind of in the same vein as Jusan. It was one of these like. In fact, I'm going to put it next to. No, you don't go there. I'm going to put it next to Jusan. It was one of those indie games where you played it. It was like 4 hours long. I think you were trying to save your sister from some robots that were invading the planet. It's kind of nothing to it. It's like, you know, a couple of puzzles. Nothing really that challenging. Kind of a. Yeah, it was one and done, comfy indie side-scroller. Nice artwork, kind of nice to look at, nice to play, but not really. When you finish it, it's just kind of like, no, that's that game. I shall move on with my life. Which is exactly like Jusan. It's this genre of game of just like, yeah, fine, whatever, indie games. What going on about? Not Left 4 Dead. That one we run away from famous horror monsters and fixed generators. That's Dead by Daylight. Dead by Daylight I can kind of understand a bit more because it's not it's PvP rather than PvE. I've played Dead by Daylight a bit. I mostly. I get the appeal of it, but it's not. It's one of those games that I feel like I want to like more than I do. Oh no, hang on. Yeah, I can understand Dead by Daylight more than something like Left 4 Dead because that's at least PvP, and there's a single player element to that if you just play as a killer, and then there's a co-op element if you play as the survivors. Like that, I can get my head around more, even though I don't like the genre much personally. I can at least get my head around why people would play that. 3,500 V-Bucks for the entire TMT X Rocket League set. To be honest, I didn't know there were TMT Rocket League bits. But I already bought the Turtles. Oh, unless it's just specifically a Rocket League, like the Turtles van. But if they added a Fortnite for the racing mode, that might be worth it. Oh, per car. Oh yeah, that's not good. Yeah, no, that's bad. All I'm saying is the actual Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles skins in Fortnite I thought were reasonably priced. They were doing it's fun with friends, and that's kind of it. Been playing that game for years, unfortunately. Yeah, I've seen you tweet about Dead by Daylight a bit, Jin. Like I said, I've played it on and off. I streamed when Wesker came out. I played some of the Resident Evil stuff. I played some of the Silent Hill stuff. If they add any more characters from any horror games that I do like, if they add any more Resident Evil characters, I'll probably play it again. I do like it. But I just, yeah, I might play a game. I struggle to get to latch on to any multiplayer game for a long time. I think Fortnite's really the game that's kind of kept my interest longest, and that's because it's got so many different modes and it updates it so often that it kind of just keeps it fresh enough. But even then, I still have periods where it's like, oh yeah, I haven't played this game for 2 months. I should probably jump on and finish the battle pass before the season ends, kind of thing. Alright, we got like a dozen left. Pokemon Sleep, this game sucks. I played it for about 5 days. I say play, as much as a game you can. I think my mattress is too firm because it just wouldn't register when I was sleeping. I remember I spent the game gives you these, but they normally cost real money. A incense which is supposed to attract more Pokemon to your Snorlax when you sleep, and I set it all up. I put it under my mattress, under my pillow, and I went to bed, and I had a full 8 hours sleep, and I woke up and it registered 5 minutes of sleep over that full 8 hours, and I'm just like, that's it, I'm gonna install it. This game shit. Like I've got things that like actually track my sleep. I've got a Rincon ring which does actually track when I'm asleep based on like my heart rate and stuff. But there's no way to link that up to Pokemon Sleep. It just uses its own kind of in-app detection in the phone, which isn't good. Yeah, terrible game. Redfall. This is also not a good game, honestly. I played this. This is another, because it was on Game Pass, we tried it. We tried it once. I don't think we even played it a second time. I really like Arcane, the guys who made this, and I think all the rest of the games they've made are great. But this game is just not good. The AI is terrible. We were playing. I don't think we were playing on easy. I think we were playing on like normal or hard mode, and the AI were just. They lacked object permanence. If you went behind a car, they kind of forgot you were there, or they would try and shoot through the car, try and get to you rather than go round, and it's just such a like poorly coded game. And yeah, it was janky, and it just wasn't that interested. It was just not good. It deserved what it got, basically, as far as I'm concerned. I am tempted to put it slightly higher than these two games because I just don't like these two games so much more compared to this one. This one was at least entertaining for an evening because we had fun laughing at how bad it was. This is one of those ones which more on the side of it's so bad it's good, because you can kind of laugh at like just how bad the AI is, and how janky and broken everything is. They might have patched it by now. I don't know. I don't care. But when it came, when we played it, I'm going to put it not so dandy just for the sake that I think there was a little bit of entertainment to be gained from how bad it was. Refine Self, personality test. So I only played through this game once. You're supposed to play through, I think, 3 times to get the sort of true ending. But I didn't want to. But I do want to go back and play it because I kind of got attached to the storyline. It's supposed to be, it's a personality test, but there's also a story about you're playing as a cyborg an android whose creator has died, and you now find yourself without purpose. And there's a hint that there was a android war, and humanity might have died out. It's not entirely clear. It's going to go in this category because I feel like I need to replay it a couple more times. I need to play through it 2 more times to get all the rest of the answers. But I really enjoyed what I played of it. It seems dandy. Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I actually don't rate Resident Evil 4 as highly as most people do, compared to, I think Resident Evil 2 and 3 are better. Or at least I enjoyed Resident Evil 2 and 3 better, more than I enjoyed Resident Evil 4. But Resident Evil 4 is still a very good game, and this is a very good remake of Resident Evil 4. It fleshed out a lot of stuff in a lot of interesting ways. A couple of complaints about a couple of things, but yeah, there's not really much to say. It's up here. It's in the right dandy section. All the stuff they added was good. Ada, I don't like giving voice actors too much. In fact, I don't even think it was the voice actor's fault. Let's put this out. Ada's voice acting in that game is not great. I don't think it was the voice actor's fault. I think it was the voice direction that was the problem, because obviously they were okay with how she delivered her lines. Yeah. So I think it was more the voice direction than the voice acting. I don't know why the voice actor. They should just reuse the voice actor of Resident Evil 2. She was fine. But other than that, it was a good game. Ashley was much more tolerable and likable in the remake. Yeah, Ashley was. I did. Yeah, all the stuff they flashed out on Lewis and Ashley, because I remember Lewis being quite an important character, and then he doesn't actually show up that much, and then dies. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess he doesn't really do a lot. And Ashley was a lot more. She was a product of her time. And she was like a lot of Resident Evil stuff at that time, where they didn't really think about how practical the female costumes were, and they went, yeah, let's put Jill in a miniskirt and a boob tube. That's fine. Yeah, let's put Ashley in a miniskirt and a tight jumper with a copious amount of jiggle physics, and you're sort of like, yeah. I kind of don't mind that they fix some of that stuff. Yeah, I do feel sorry for Ada's voice, because she got a lot of flack, and it's clearly like the voice actor is, if they do a performance and the director is okay, and the director is happy with that performance, that's not on the voice actor, that's on the director at that point. If the director wasn't happy with the performance, they either should have got to redo it, or they should have replaced her, or not hired her. So she did her job. She did it as she was told to do it, and they were happy with it. So yeah, I feel bad for I feel bad for her, because she got a lot of flack. And it was fine. It just wasn't good. But the rest of the voices were good, and I liked as well that they kept a lot of the cheesy stuff, like Leon's. I was really worried they were going to make Leon a bit more serious, but I'm glad they kept all of his dorky one-liners, because Leon, the only thing Leon has going for him, as far as I'm concerned, is that he's a massive dork. That the rest of the because he really wants to be this cool badass action hero, and the fact that he's just a huge dork who does all these cheesy one-liners mostly to himself is his most endearing feature, and I'm glad they kept that in and had him things like nighty night night and where's everyone going, bingo, like it's his most endearing trait is that how much of a loser he is. Yeah, boob tube. Is that not? Do they not call it boob tubes in America? Her crop top thing that she wore in Resident Evil 3. They replaced it in the remake. She does still have a. She has a similar top, and they replaced her mini skirt with shorts, which made a lot of sense because, yeah, you'd look up her skirt a lot. Yeah, the knight armor is useful in both games. And yeah, he's a very lovable dog. Anyway, Resident Evil 4, great game, a great remake of a great game, and yeah, absolutely deserves. I don't think it won any Game of the Year awards, but it definitely got lots of nominations. Crop tops, yeah, I just love boob tube. Boob tube's how I call it. I mean, it's what it is. It's a tube that you put your boobs in. Spider-Man 2. So Spider-Man 1 was probably my favourite game of 2018. Probably joint with God of War. Spider-Man is Spider-Man. I'm just trying to think if is it Spider-Man or Batman. Spider-Man or Batman is my favourite superhero. I know it's a very basic choice. You know, it's very like. I'm a basic bitch when it comes to superheroes, but I just really like Spider-Man. I love the old Sam Raimi movies. I like Spider-Man's character of just, like this kid who's just trying to, make up. He's just trying to, do good by his dead uncle. Like there's a lot of Spider-Man that appeals to me. There's a lot of Batman that appeals to me. And I really like Spider-Man 1. Spider-Man 1's ending cutscene is one of the only times I have cried playing a video game. Generally, video games just do not tug on my heartstrings that much. And Yuri Lowenthal's performance at the end of the end cutscene of Spider-Man 1 it's heartbreaking. Actually, there's two sections. There's the bit where there's the final fight with Dr. Octopus, and then the bit after that. Yeah. Spider-Man 2 was still really, really good, but it just didn't quite have any moments like that for me. They tried to do a moment like that, and I just wasn't that invested with the character that they tried to do it with. And there's a lot of things that were predictable. Miles wasn't, I think, that well implemented. He was okay. I think they did a better job of keeping him involved with the plot, considering so little of the plot involved him. I'm disappointed as well to hear that apparently they were going to do a symbiote. Miles was going to have the symbiote for a little while as well, and they cut that out. But it was still a really good game. All the complaints I have for it are minor, and I did really enjoy the game, and I do still need to go back and finish off all the side content and stuff. And I'm looking forward to the DLC on it. But it just didn't quite hit as hard as it kind of had the same problem with Tears of the Kingdom, where it was building on the previous games. It built on the previous game a lot, and so the first game, Breath of the Wild and Spider-Man 1, kind of had this big impact, and these games, even though they were improvements on the formula, didn't quite have that punch that the first game had. So it's up here. Maybe I'm gonna put it here. There was just. I think I came away from it thinking I kind of wish there was just something more to it. Venom was good. I kind of wish there was more Venom. We didn't really get a lot of Venom. The actual Venom didn't get many lines. And he wasn't really around for very long either. Because Venom showed up. He did one thing and then kind of. Yeah, I think the final act could have been a bit longer, just to kind of flesh Venom out a bit more. But he is coming back for the DLCs. Yeah, so... Although, apparently, according to the leak from... No, he's not DLC. From the leak, they are... Carnage might, I think, is the DLCs. From the Insomniac leak, I think Venom is going to be the kind of Miles Morales filler game between Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. So that'd be fun. I guess they'll just explain some of the symbiotes survived somehow. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're a big fan of Carnage. I mean, disappointed we didn't get to see Carnage in the... I mean, it was my fault for not doing the side quest with him in. But... disappointed we didn't see him on stream, because I think that could have been quite a hype moment. But... I was... playing through the main game took too long, unfortunately. Star Wars Jedi Survivor. So this game kind of came out in a kind of a rough state, but I think it's been patched up a bit now. I played through the first game and then this one back to back when they came out earlier in the year. So it was like a month where I just played Star Wars Jedi games. I like Star Wars Jedi. I like Cal Kestis. There was an interesting twist. There was an interesting twist to this game near the end. However, I feel like the ending of the game was worse. I don't think the ending of the game was worth the twist, if that makes sense. They had a good twist and then kind of then led into a less interesting final encounter. But it was okay. I enjoyed it. I liked exploring the world. I liked the bounty hunter missions for that sexy green bounty hunter lady. And it's cool seeing Boba Fett at the end of that. And it had a lot of... It does the thing that I feel like a lot of Star Wars stuff, especially live action stuff, because it's expensive, doesn't do very much, is it had a lot of alien characters. And the alien characters in the live actions are always very... unless they're like humanoid characters like Chewbacca, because they're so expensive to animate, they're always sort of relegated to kind of like side roles, and they're not that... You know, they show up very briefly as like a merchant or something. You never get like a main character who's an alien, unless they're bipedal like Jar Jar or Chewie. So it's cool to see some like proper weird aliens in this one, and them be like main characters. Yeah, looking forward to... I think they're going to do a third game, so I'm looking forward to that. Do I want to bump that up? I might put that on the end of Pretty Damn Dandy, actually. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at Sonic Dream Team and I'm thinking... Actually, I might put Sonic Dream Team down to Very Dandy and keep Jedi Survivor up as Very Dandy. Yeah, that feels more that makes more sense to me in my head. Above the just. Street Fighter Duel. This was the mobile game of Street Fighter. I played this for like 3 weeks and then dropped it. It's not good. It's not a good game. It's not a good Street Fighter game. It's just basically a gacha game with a Street Fighter skin on it. It would have been, I think, if they had done it as a Capcom Duel game, and they had characters from lots of different Capcom franchises, it could have been quite cool. Because would have been cool to have characters from like Mega Man and Marvel, basically like Namco x Capcom minus the Namco. But they just did it Street Fighter, and Dan Hibiki was available in the game, so it does get points for having Dan Hibiki in. I will give it a bonus point for having Dan Hibiki. But you could only max him out to a certain point, and then he became fodder for other characters. So, but yeah, it wasn't a Street Fighter game. Like there was like loads of these missions where you were driving around in a car, and it's like, why are there cars in a Street Fighter game? Like, I get that you punch cars in the special stage, but why are you? It really felt like they just reskinned a pre-existing game with Street Fighter characters. The street designs are fun, though. Yes, I did like some of the costumes. They were way too expensive. the ones that you actually had to pay for. Like they were like I think they were like some of the characters like had like £100 packs, and then you could get vouchers. You could unlock vouchers in game to reduce them down by 50%. So you're only paying. So it was a bargain. You're only paying 50 quid to get Fashion Sakura or something. Yeah. So again, it's kind of gross monetization. I'll put it in not so dandy because I did play it for a few weeks and I did enjoy. It did have Dan Hibiki in it. If it didn't have Dan Hibiki in it, it would be in not dandy. I'll be honest. It was. Yeah. All right. I'm now actually out of drink. I'm just gonna be right back 2 minutes because I need to. My mouth is getting incredibly dry. So I would just. Yeah, I'll be right back. All right. That one. So I know, I only got like technically only got 4 games left to talk about, but I was at my limit there. Yes, we are at Street Fighter 6. So I don't like fighting games. That's not true. I'm not good at fighting games. And so I don't like them because I'm not good at them. I do like fighting games though. I really like Dan Hibiki is one of my favorite characters of all time, and I do like the plot of Street Fighter. I like the plot of Tekken. Broad kind of. I also have a friend who's big into the. So I should make sure I got Street Fighter on screen. Who's big into the FGC, and so he talks about it a lot, and I get a lot of knowledge of Street Fighter from sort of second hand. I bought Street Fighter 6 because it had a single player mode, which I was quite excited about, where you could create your own character and you could play around Metro City and go and fight dudes. Same, I love them, just suck at them, except DOA. For some reason, they go to the game I'm good at. I don't know if I've ever played. I think I've played one Dead or Alive game. I don't think I can't remember being good or bad at it. Monetization is nowhere near bad as Street Fighter 6 Mario. It depends. I think if you're just if you're gonna get skins for characters that you like, it's not so bad. But if you want to get skins for every single character, it's a shame there's not like a big bundle pack where it's like half price for buying all the skins. You have to buy them individually. Because like the new skins that just came out, if you wanted to get one for all of the characters, it costs like 40 quid or something like that. It's basically the cost of another game. That's kind of not great. But if you're just buying like I only really play if I do play a fighting game, I genuinely only play as maybe like 1 or 2 characters because I just don't have the time or the inclination to learn multiple characters. So I really liked Marissa? Is that a name? I'm trying to remember. God, I'm blanking on the names of the Street Fighter characters now. I really liked Manon, and I really liked. Was it Marissa? Yeah, Marissa. I really like Marissa and I really like Manon. Those are my 2 characters that I played as. Manon was so much fun to play on online because she got people so mad. Like, just constantly getting them in throws was so fun. One big addition... Oh yeah, Luke's English voice actor is great. I love all of the stuff that he's been putting out in character. He really is happy with his role, with his character and his role. He's great. He's what I think voice actors. He kind of reminds me of like Mark Hamill, who kind of just like really takes ownership of their character and really just friggin' loves doing it, and is quite happy to not take themselves too seriously. Kimberly, Jamie, and Luke were phased. Yeah, I will. So I'm going in lots of different directions. I bought this game because it had a single player mode. The single player mode was okay. I think there was some things I would have done differently, but it was fine. It was fun. You know, it was a silly little mode to play, and it was a cool way. It's cool that you could unlock their second costumes for free by playing the single player mode. And it was a cool way to include some like really get characters that just would not be in the game otherwise, like the Street Fighter 1 characters and some of the like Final Fight characters. That was fun. The new characters, I think... So I didn't play much of Street Fighter 5. In fact, literally, I own Street Fighter 5 and I own the Dan Hibiki DLC, and that's all I have. When I think that I've got a screenshot somewhere where it's just literally the vanilla Street Fighter characters and Dan, and nothing else unlocked. And I was just like, I wonder how many other people have a character select screen that looks like mine, because... Yeah, literally, I got Street Fighter 5 in a Humble Bundle, and then I just bought the Dan DLC, and that was the only time I ever played it. It was one afternoon where I played as Dan for a bit. And I would do the same when Dan comes out in Street Fighter 6. And it's not an if, it's a when Dan comes out in Street Fighter 6. I wasn't that interested in a lot of the new characters for Street Fighter 5. There was a couple that I quite liked. The cop character was quite cool. And I like the big dude from Final Fight. I guess isn't a new character, but he was a new Street Fighter character. And the Saudi Arabian character, whose name I can't remember. He was cool. But I feel like all of the new characters for Street Fighter 6 were great. I don't think there's a single character that I looked at and went, yeah, I don't like this character. They were all good. They all had something going on for them. World Tour is smartly designed because it encourages you to try everyone's playstyle step by step. Yeah, that was cool. That was a good way to get you to try out a lot of new characters. I don't think it was very good as a way for you to like learn the game necessarily, but I guess. Like in a way that it didn't really prepare you for playing the multiplayer very well, I think. But it was still fun. Like it was still good. Zeku and Akira Kazama were fun. Yeah, Akira's she's rival schools, isn't she? Yeah, there was a couple of good characters in 5, but I thought 6 just had like a really strong new cast of characters. Give us a new rival schools, Capcom, you goddamn cowards. I'd be just happy with the rival schools characters, just more of the rival schools characters showing up in Street Fighter. Give me Daigo. I'd happily if you give me Daigo in Street Fighter 6, I'll play more Street Fighter 6. You love Street Fighter. Go get my PS4 fixed so I can play it again, but I love Kimberly and Aki. Oh, Aki was great. There was a lot of, again, this is another game that I think like Mario Wonder. It's weird. This is the weird overlap between Street Fighter 6 and Mario Wonder. They really went hard on the fetish stuff this time. Like Aki was clearly a fetishy character, and then you got Junie with her feet stuff. Like it was quite, and Chun-Li, I mean, her thighs are their own category of fetish. Like I think she invented the genre. Yeah. Anyway, I got distracted. Yeah, there's a lot to like with Street Fighter 6. It's not going to get very high for me just because I'm not good at it. But I will say, one thing I did really like, and I hope it's something that they continue doing, because I think it's one of my complaints about fighting games generally, is I really appreciate them putting a modern control scheme in where it's simple controls. I don't necessarily like that they nerfed the damage and the amount of moves. I can understand that they had to nerf the number of moves you could use, but I think nerfing the damage was a bit mean, because it just meant that it wasn't viable long term. But the bit of fighting games that I like is knowing my move, learning my character's moves, and knowing which moves do what, and then trying to read, actually fighting, like reading your opponent, trying to think, oh, okay, they're going to go for a jump, I'll use my anti-air. They're going to go for a low bottom, I'm going to do a ground crouch. That's the bit that I like in fighting games when I get into them and play them. What I don't like is, oh, he's going to jump, I should do an anti-air. What input was my anti-air? Oh, it's this input. I can't get the input right. I'm dead. I want to be able to be like, what's my anti-air? Up an X. There we go. There's my anti. I mean, some characters it is up an X, or it's like just hard punch, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be like, I want to use a Hadouken. I can't do the dragon punch. I can't do the down to forwards. I flub the input and can't do the Hadouken. And I know that it's one of those like get good things. It's just like, it's a skill issue, and you just need to get good. Is that the music ticking, or is that something else? Oh, that was the music ticking. That was really distracting. I know it's like a get good thing and it's a skill issue thing, but it's just, I don't have a lot of time to play individual games. I play a lot of video games, and it's why, but I don't have time to play sitting down and grind the inputs for all these different characters, or even one character, to the point that I can do them with muscle memory. I want to learn, I just want to be able to do my moves and then learn. I want to do the fun bit of playing fighting games, where you learn the matchups and you learn the counters and you do the reading. I don't want to do the boring training bit. I want to skip that bit. So I was really appreciative of modern controls, and I hope they continue to do that with future games, because being able to play with modern controls kept me playing a lot longer than I would have done otherwise. Not dear, I don't see Fist on your list. Did you skip it this year? I did. I almost played it. If there was I looked at this game and considered it tier, it would be in there. Because I almost played it when it came on PS5 and didn't. And then I almost played it when it came to Games Pass and didn't. That's it. I probably will play it one day, because I did like the premise of it. I didn't find time to get to do it in the end. There's that pizza minigame in the World Tour that teaches you the inputs that are going to training mode. Yeah, it's not so much like I can do a Hadouken, I can do the inputs. It's more in the moment, remembering the inputs and being able to input them quickly enough for them to actually be relevant. Like, for me to go, I should do a Hadouken here, or I should do a Shoryuken here or something. I'm just, because I can only remember the names of the moves that Ryu and Ken use, or a Tatsumaki, and then being able to get the input in quickly enough for that to still be the case. And like, again, I get at like higher levels, you're supposed to, that is the difference between winning and losing, is being able to get those inputs in quickly. But when you're playing at a lower level, like I am, I don't want to have to worry about that stuff. I just want to play. And so I really appreciate modern controls. I'm a massive favourer of modern controls. I also think it's just useful for people who just, like, who are disabled, for example, who maybe can't do, even with practice, just can't do those inputs. And so they're able to play fighting games. And I'm always a massive proponent for games that have accessibility options like that, because I think video games should be able to be played by as many people as possible. Generally, because I just think it'd suck not to be able to play video games. So, yeah, I can't stomach charge characters even with modern controls. I tried Chun-Li a little bit, I think, and I can't remember the timing. Even shout out the pretzel motion Geese Howard has from Fatal Fury. Oh, and the pizza minigame. That's pretty cool. But yeah. So like I said, so Street Fighter 6, I like a lot about it, but I'm gonna put it in Pretty Damn Dandy. It's gonna be on the bottom end of Pretty Damn Dandy. I think it's a really, really good game. It does deserve to be up here in like S tier, but based on the fact that I'm not good at fighting games and it just drops down. But even though I'm not good, I still recognize that it is a good game. That's if you can recognize the game is still good, even if you're terrible at it and it's not your kind of game, I think that's the sign that it's a game of the year level. Murderer Sonic the Hedgehog. I didn't think I'd talk that much about Street Fighter 6, to be honest. I thought Street Fighter 6 would be quite a simple one, but yeah, it had a lot going on. It had a lot going on. Murderer Sonic the Hedgehog. This game was a very pleasant surprise. This came out on April Fool's. It was free. It's about 2 hours long. It is technically canon to the rest of the Sonic games. There's nothing in it that happens that isn't considered canon. Yeah, it was free. It's a visual novel. It's just like a little fun murder mystery game. It just kind of it was announced like I played it an hour after it was announced. It got announced at like 8 o'clock, and I played it at 9 o'clock. I think it was one of those. It's like April Fools, haha. But then it was like this isn't a joke. It's genuinely just this really good visual novel. Simple. I mean, it's not like multiple branching paths or anything, but it was well written, and the art style was good. And if you like Sonic, it was good. It's going to go up in Pretty Damn Dandy because I think it did what it wanted to do very well. It's kind of, it's a weird one. It's just, I feel like it's just a really solid game of, it did, like I said, it just did. Yeah, it was a really pleasant surprise. It came out and there was no expectations. They just came out and just went, here's a free game, and it was great. And that's all you can really say about it. Yeah, it was like Hi-Fi Rush, just a very pleasant surprise. 30 Suitors, this is going to go on the Haven't Finished Yet, but Seen Dandy. I really liked the premise for this game. I played an hour and a half of this on Friday, and I will go and play some more of it. I honestly wasn't expecting it to be an RPG, like a turn-based RPG. So it's quite a bit slower than I thought it was going to be. But it's, I really like the style, and I really like the art style. The dialogue is kind of hit or miss for me so far, but I think it's going to be good. So these are the 5 games, because Wild Hearts isn't going in there. These are the five games that from 2023 that I need to go and finish off. Cocoon I'll probably finish this week in my own time, because I'm really looking forward to finishing Cocoon. Wild Hearts. This game, I think, is unfortunate, because this game came out, I want to say April, May time, sort of earlier in the year, and kind of didn't really get any fanfare. I wasn't even 100% sure what type of game it was when it came out. It's a Monster Hunter type game, and it really is. It really does wear its Monster Hunter influence on its sleeves. But I only played it recently when it got added to Games Pass, and we started playing it as one of our. We've played it about 3 times now as our sort of games night thing, and we do plan to continue playing it. It's really good. I think they've already dropped support for it, but it's not like it's a live service game. It's, you know, there's still like 20 something monsters in the game, and we've only fought half of them. So there's still a sort of deep, good amount of content in there. It solves one of the problems I have with Monster Hunter, in that I feel like the momentum in Monster Hunter is very slow and clunky, and that's part of the game. This is a lot more zippy, a lot more actiony, and that you can build. So the big thing is that you can build constructs on the fly. So you can build boxes that you can run up and jump off of to do aerial attacks and diving attacks. You can build cannons on the fly. You can build like springs and boxes and boxes. You can build walls, all sorts of stuff, and you can set up your thing so you can quick build the things that you like building. There aren't as many weapon variety as Monster Hunter, but it's still a really good game. The one thing it does do weird is the characters it's got full English voice acting, but they will just randomly say Japanese words. So it's kind of weeby in that way, because I will do that. I will occasionally say things like "Daijobu," but this does it kind of like earnestly. That they go, "Yes, everything is Daijobu. Thank you very much." And it's like, why just say it in English? Just say everything's all right. It's fine. Don't. It's very jarring. They are nerds. It does feel like that. It's very weeaboo for them to just randomly insert Japanese words into the English dialogue. I wonder about the game's looking at it because I thought this was a cheap Monster Hunter rip. It is a Monster Hunter rip, but there's nothing cheap about it. They clearly spent a lot of time and money on this game, and it feels great. I think, like I said, I feel like it kind of went under the radar a little bit when it came out, because I guess it just didn't sell very well, which is why it's on Games Pass already. But it's really good. I'm going to put it up in the very dandy because I haven't quite finished it yet. And I do have complaints about it, but it was a very, very pleasant surprise. None of us were expecting it to be like watching a Kamen Rider fan sub. It is a little bit like the Death Note meme of all according to Keikaku, and then they have to explain what Keikaku means. There are moments like that where they just, because it's set in, it uses Japanese monsters and lore and stuff. So all the characters are very sort of heavily kind of samurai, Japanese warrior influenced. And like one of the characters you meet at the start is a Tanuki who's transformed into a human wearing a Tengu mask. And a lot of the monsters are based on lots of Japanese yokai. So it's very, very, very heavily Japanese based. But yeah, it's just the English dialogue having those weird like random Japanese words mixed in. It just sounds, it's weird. But it's a good game. It's really fun. It was a pleasant surprise. I expected it to be a lot worse. I was thinking it was going to be more like that free to play Monster Hunter ripoff. I think Epic, was it Epic Games that made that one? I was thinking it was going to be more in line with that, and it wasn't going to be as good. But Wild Hearts. I recommend. I feel like it deserved more than it got. So yeah, so there's 2 more games left: Lord of the Rings Gollum and Walking Dead Destinies. Now, these are on my list, but I haven't played them yet, because we're going to play them today. I was very excited to get Walking Dead Destinies, by the way, because I was going to get Gollum... I would be surprised. I didn't think anything was going to beat Gollum. When Gollum came out and the reviews came in, I thought, that's the game I'm going to play on January. That's going to be the worst game of the year. Nothing's going to beat that. I was confident in that. It was April, I think, Gollum came out. And it is still one of the worst games of the year. I think it's 3rd. Wait, I say worst games of the year, I mean worst reviewed games. There are plenty of terrible games that came out that didn't get any reviews. But of the sort of games that were at least big enough to get enough reviews to get a Metacritic score. Gollum is, I think, the third worst reviewed game. I wasn't going to get Walking Dead Destinies because it was expensive, but when I went to buy Gollum, it was on offer, so I was very happy to get. I still paid more for it than I would have liked to, but I paid less for it than they wanted, I think. I was going to play Crime Boss Rock A City, I think it was called, which was a Payday S knockoff where you do loads of heists, but it had a load of celebrity cameos in it. I wasn't that excited to play that game because a lot of people said it was bad because it was boring. So I'm very happy that we're playing Walking Dead Destinies, which is, I think, the worst reviewed game of the year. I think this got about a 2 out of 10 average on Metacritic. I think the King Kong, so it's made by the same people. There's a King Kong game, which is the one I'm not playing, that maybe got a 1 out of 10. That might have gotten. Let me have a look. Actually, we're on the internet. I don't have to guess these things. Metacritic King Kong game. What was it called? Skull Island: Rise of Kong. Yeah, Skull Island: Rise of Kong. That's got a 23 on Metacritic. Walking Dead Destinies. Oh, has a 29. Okay, so we're playing. I think we're playing the third and second worst reviewed games of the year. I don't want to play Kong Skull Island because it's one of those games that's just bad. And once you get past the initial kind of, haha, this game's not very good, there's really nothing else going for it. Walking Dead, I think, at least has Gollum is at least like Lord of the Rings, and Walking Dead tells the story of the first 4 series of the TV show. So there's at least that kind of like hook, but King Kong Skull Island doesn't have that at all. It's just monkey fighting things. Cannot remember the name of it. Yeah, it's just King Kong, Monkey Island game. Not Monkey Island. That's the front of Monkey Island. So we're gonna play these two, and then I would be surprised if they landed anywhere higher than Not Dandy, but we shall see. And then that will be my 2023, which I realise you can't actually see all in one if I zoom out for a little bit. There we go. So you can see my full 2023 tier lists. Just gonna have a look through and see if there's anything I want to bump up or down. But I think I Am Future probably needs to go a bit further down. It was okay. Yeah, I'm generally quite happy with that ranking for everything. That feels about right. They slapped a PNG in Kong for a scene. Yeah, that is the famous scene where it just cuts to a picture of a dinosaur that you to fight. But that's what I mean. It's like after you get past that like initial, haha, this game's bad. There's nothing. There is nothing there. It's just a really boring. It's just a really boring. Brawler game. So I was just like, I don't want to pay money for that game just to be like, well, here, there's the thing I saw on YouTube. Shrug. Thank you for including Snap. I love that game. Only free-to-play game I think of where you can do without spending money to continue. Yeah, it does have that going for it. I put it in. So I included it because I played the Steam version, which only came out this year. Was one of those technicality ones. And I put it in Dandy just because I played it for a month and then dropped off, really. For no other reason. No real reason, just I just didn't want to play it. But it is a good game. It should... No, I think that's where it should be. It's a better game. I feel bad putting Wanted Dead in the same category as what is Snap, because Marvel Snap is a much better game than Wanted Dead. I can't explain why I'm putting Wanted Dead where it is. I can't articulate why. I feel like it has to go there, but I can't explain why. All of the games in that, if you said to me any other games in the Dandy tier, I would play again. I would play anything other than Wanted Dead. Like, any of those games, I would happily replay. But Wanted Dead, I would not want to touch with a stick. And yet, I'm not moving it. It's staying there. Right. Let's play some Golem. I'm very excited. I'm gonna... let's... Let me go back. OBS, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna be right back for 2 seconds. Because I put my duvet in the washing machine and it's now finished. So I just need to hang it up so that it's dry. Hopefully, maybe by tonight, or maybe hopefully by tomorrow. And then we'll play some Golem. So I'm gonna be right back, and I shall see you in like 3 minutes. Like literally, I'm not going that far.